bring the band in. Woo! Well, alright. Yeah, they want me to fit in, but I can't. I'm too different with it, too advanced to think. You know my intuition. I got bars and ink, but never in a prison. Too far gone, never gonna sit and listen. This is optimism mixed with the best. You get it? What you're seeing is a beast in the flesh. I'm vetted up. I don't need to try to speak for the rest. Always keep it abrupt. They wanna keep it a mess. You know, this is what you get when you're sitting as a vet. But everybody know that you're a threat. With the rest, let's go. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No. Look, I'm trying to tell you we don't fit in your box. Why you try to box me in? I got the key to unlock. I know the locksmith, optics. Speak of the loss, I'm eating lobster, chopsticks, freaking the boss. You know, I'll never fit in where I go at. Ooh, boss talk like I'm Boaz. Ooh, why fit in when you know you can stand out still? They remember you more when you hand out deals. Let's go. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No. Don't box me in. I do my own thing. Spirit is right within. I got my own way. Violent is not within. Look at the way that I do my ops again. Oh, better let me loose. You know that I got the juice. Everything I got to do. Words that I speak out my mouth, I gotta move. Oh, oh, we can't fit in your box. We too cold to get low. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No. Thank you, Ben, for coming out tonight. My name is Son of Augustine. Let's go.
PMCO North America 2020 Grand Finals. Mustache Dave Enigma hitting you with day number 2 here. 4 games today. Enigma, how you doing today, my man?
Feeling good. I mean, the breakfast was, pretty light today. The chicken from last night, I think Executies had a little too much. They shared some with me, thankfully, so I was pretty filled. But hopefully today, some of these other teams can maybe walk away with some chicken dinners because it was basically a blowout from Executies.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the chicken dinners, if you want to be up to date with who is getting these chicken dinners, make sure you follow PUBG Mobile on all the socials. Make sure you use the hashtag down below, hashtag PMCO, for all the most up-to-date news out here on everything competitive. So as we get into day number 2, let's do a little recap of what we're here for, what we're playing for, and we're going to start with the format. I think that's a good place to start here. Day number 2, Enigma, break it down.
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with the 16 teams. 8 of them were from those last chance qualifiers. Jukes and I had the beauty of casting about, yesterday we had 4 games, today's 4, and tomorrow you'll be seeing the last 4 matches, equaling to 12 matches total that these teams play. And of course, it's a lot of just back and forth with some of these teams. I'm seeing a lot of great stuff out of them, and I'm not sure what you're thinking, Dave, but today I'm expecting a lot of changes on the leaderboard.
Oh, you sure hope so, man. Hopefully we see some changing up here on the overall leaderboard, which we'll get to here very shortly. But what are they playing for? It's all about that money, baby. 20K total prize pool. First place, 6,000. Second place, 4,000. Third place, 2,000. And $500 here, Enigma. So pretty solid prize pool. We have to remind everybody watching that a lot of these teams did go through what we were calling the meat grinder yesterday, so they definitely performed to their best abilities to even make it here right to the grand final. So well deserved to whoever does come out on top and gets that cash money. So one more thing, let's check out the schedule for day number 2 and the maps here, Enigma.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting off with Arango for the first part. We're seeing it at the end as well. But second map today is going to be Miramar. We saw a lot of teams taking early engagements with some of these matches. But Sanhok, though, always the wild card for most of these teams, whether it's consistency or getting those elimination points or maybe just being the first team out, depending on the zone shift. It's really one that's not forgiving for some teams that aren't as consistent in terms of their gun skill throughout the matches on the night. So hopefully we could see it going further for some of these teams compared to maybe yesterday where they're dying in the first, second, third zone of the match. Needing to see more out of them.
Yeah, it definitely happens, especially with like the day 1 nerves we were talking about yesterday. Some of these teams, this is the furthest they've ever made it in competitive PUBG Mobile. So as a reminder, let's check out what the leaderboard's looking like after only 4 games. And I'm saying that because after 4 games, Enigma, Cuties 74 points. Holy cow.
Yeah, and I mean, the Nomads are somewhat close with 49. They're only, I think it is 25 total points behind them. But the elimination points speak for themselves. We're talking about only 4 matches. They're dropping over 10 eliminations a game, Dave. And no one's really that close to them underneath them. C4 Esports, we're seeing a few of these teams where they're having pretty good elimination games in my eyes, but really just a blowout performance for them. Some names, though, that I'm surprised to see up there that I didn't really get a chance of, peeking at in terms of the last chance qualifiers would have to be Sentinels in 4th place, pretty even on the placement points and the elimination points, but also Strangers BD. I felt like we were talking about them a lot, maybe for the wrong reasons in terms of some fights against Executies, but, being able to be up on that front page with the top 8 teams tonight.
Yeah, some of these teams definitely surprising a lot of fans in the chat. I think Zombie Boy's having a great start to the day, but kind of dropping off since then. Hopefully today is a bounce back day. But Enigma, the goose egg, man, 4 games, 0 points. Now you got to feel for the boys. We saw them from Jovi. Almost every game, early game, they were just all out on their own, getting caught off guard. I wouldn't even say rotations were the problem because they didn't even get to that point in the game. They would always lose one real early on off the drop. So hopefully, like you said, all these teams kind of coming into today a little more prepared because remember, some of these teams, they played in the last chance qualifier last week or the beginning of this week, while others qualified directly from the winners bracket. So they had a little time off in between. So Jovi being one of those squads, hopefully yesterday was like a wake-up call. And today we'll see a completely different squad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just them with Jovi. I'm looking at, unfortunately, the Jerways fan club only having 3 or so points above them, and there's a lot of people on the roster where it's, I'm liking what I'm seeing, whether it's clips they post online or stuff like that. But the squad themselves needs to recognize that this is when it matters most. There's a lot of teams, unfortunately, that maybe just felt the brunt of XQT's wrath yesterday, because I felt like, the first match was Jovi getting wiped almost by XQTs. We're seeing a lot of teams take early engagements against them, or maybe they feel they have a shot, and then at the end of the day, they end up with 47 elimination points. So hopefully some teams are able to put up a bit more of a fight against them, but I mean, we'll just have to wait and see for this first match.
Yeah, and let me, we are the pre-show segment, and the players are getting ready, prepared for game number 1, day number 2 here. And I kind of want to pick your brain while we have the moment here. With all your pro player experience, you got a lot of notches under that belt, I guess you can say. So for me, Jovi, day 1, 0 points. Day 2, for me, it's like it's do or die. You got to go for those insane plays right out the gates. And what I mean by that, and I don't normally recommend this, but what if we just straight up hot drop XQTs, and try to not only get the confidence to take out XQTs, but in a way, if you take out XQTs early, you're kind of helping the rest of the lobby almost at that point. So let me get your take. I mean, hot drops, day number 2, what are your thoughts there?
Now, I think the hot drop idea is great. Now, in terms of XQTs going against him for it, I'm not too sure about that. But, if you're Jovi, I think you go against one of these other teams that are kind of elbow to elbow on the leaderboard, maybe drop on Jerway's fan club, some of those teams down near the bottom, because at this point, you're needing to get the groove in. Hopefully, they did some VOD review last night, did some sort of, just guessing on, what were we actually doing in those first 4 games. And in my eyes, I'm seeing it as, this team is just getting eliminated a little bit too early. You talked about it with just players getting caught off guard basically before the first rotation, when it's, they're not really even contesting a drop. I would like to see them just try to keep 4-man up at least to zone 3 or 4. After that, just play the game out. It's natural. You don't have to maybe do the guessing game of what spots are going to be open on the map. Kind of just make it a late game where you can just focus on what's in front of you, not the stuff in zone, not the teams that land next to you, just whatever's in front of you.
Yeah, so hopefully they can do just that today and get some points. And day 1, definitely interesting too. And like you said, kind of adding on to that point, some of these teams, they did have time to go back, watch every single game, maybe take some notes, discuss it as a squad, and really come into day number 2 with a different strategy, right? Because we did see in game 1 and 2 yesterday, and it kind of slowed down as the night progressed. But early game, mid game, hectic. It was insane. I mean, we were getting to like circle number 5, and we had like 10 teams. It really opens up the map, right? And I think towards game number 4, if I recall, everybody as a whole kind of pumped the brakes when it comes to early game fighting, and they tried to survive a lot longer. So I'm almost curious if heading into day number 2, we'll kind of see what we saw in game 4 last night, where towards the end of the game, there's a lot more players alive here today.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the main thing too, you brought it up last night for a short little briefing of, it was because XQTs were losing players early on. They lost a player, maybe zone 2 or 3. A lot of the teams sort of kind of realized that, hey, this team that's always pushing into us as soon as we take a fight probably isn't going to be doing that anymore. So hopefully, when teams do take engagements with XQTs, it's almost like, falling on your own sword of just, take one for the team, for the lobby even, I guess, for someone to maybe pass XQTs, because if you're not taking at least 1 or 2 players down your engagements with XQTs, they are the team where they get the resets. We saw it on Miramar. They're throwing teammates in the back of the monster truck. So all of it's a main thing. And we even saw for a brief moment in the first game, YKG feeling the brunt of it. A team that has that sort of experience and that sort of stuff with edge zone fighting, getting third party into the back by your team truly, Dave, the Zombie Boys. So a lot of it's going to be these teams recognizing when it's actually safe to take those early engagements. The last match, I think they had that along with XQTs losing an early player. And hopefully today we can see that sort of performance starting off the day and not in the last match.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think. By the way, the game's almost ready, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know in the chat who you are cheering for today. I see a lot of straight out Nepal kind of fans in the chat already giving them that momentum. But it is kind of crazy to think that when XQTs are at a disadvantage, the lobby is back to normal almost, because when XQTs are popping off, they're just going from one fight to the next to the next. Like there's no slowing down for that team. And we saw with their elims, massive amount of elims, and kind of bringing it back to game number 4, they lost one of their players really early on, and that kind of changed the pacing of the lobby almost, and players were able to play a lot longer.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, and I mean, those players hopefully are able to start, getting a little bit more of a comfort thing. We saw, Unique Legacy being that second place team in the last match of the night, a team that didn't really perform that well throughout the first 3 matches, finally getting a break. Now, unfortunately, they did only have the 1 elimination point, if I recall. But for them, maybe the placement is enough for them. Hopefully, some of these teams are able, take some engagements that aren't going to feel, too terrible. I guess you could say if they get third party, maybe you just lose 1 player and cut your losses. A lot of the time, I feel some of these players, maybe give a little bit of a bait call out, where it's, hey, I'm safe, come for the revive, and then you just get Tom Brady'd with a grenade, or maybe you just get thirsted or off-angled. So hopefully today these players are able to recognize when that's supposed to be, because I've made that sort of discussion myself with my team. I've said, if I tell you not to come for you, don't go for the revive. Don't be trying to play superhero. Go for some crazy play. Just play as a 3-man. And, we've talked about teams and Titan series and stuff like that, PMPO Americas even, where they're comfortable playing as a 3-man. We asked, with XQTs, are they going to be able to do that? They weren't really able to show that performance yesterday in that last match as a 3-man. But teams like Loops or some of these international teams, we've seen them really dominate, even if it's just 2 of them against full 4-man squads. It's all about, your prowess, your confidence, and if you're willing to hit the shots or not when it matters most in the match.
Yeah, no slowing them down without a doubt. And day 1 highlight player for me has to be Carey for sure. The MVP of day number 1. I think everybody can agree with that. You brought up as we wait for game number 1 to start here. You brought up YKG. Interesting squad to kind of just deep dive, theory craft, and just think about as a whole, because we know those players. We saw some plays. Chico in particular had a nice little 2v1 in game number 4. In the little car rail thing that we saw on near Stalber. But my point being is that this is the last time that this complete team will be playing together, as this unit.
Yeah.
And talking to Joey, he was telling me this PMCO is just like a no stress type of deal. We're here to game, have a good time, and make as much money as possible, right? Because come 2024, they're changing out, I think Fierce, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be retiring, and they're going to be pulling in a new IGL. So 2024, we should expect a completely revamped YKG, a whole new play style. So that's always an interesting kind of concept to think about, right? Like when a team is just here having a good time, like what does that do to those players? Like we chatted yesterday about, this is their first ever PMCO grand finals. Like this is the furthest they've ever been. So they're stressing out. They're sweating bullets, Their hands are sweaty. They got the deodorant on the hands, making sure it's all nice and smooth. Meanwhile, YKG, they're leaning back. They're on the couch just gaming, having a good time. So what are your thoughts on that one?
I think it's just a lot of just the experience gap with some of these teams, because we expect that from YKG. It's not like this is PMPL Americas where they've played at, they've played against international talent. This is, NA talent. Some of these people are just starting off, and I think it's almost nice that a squad like that isn't going too crazy against you in the lobby. Obviously, there is XQTs. That is a team that's dominating, that's trying very hard in the matches. But YKG, we'll go back to it, in terms of that sort of IGL swap and Fears leaving and that sort of stuff. In my eyes, if you bring in a new IGL, it's a huge change in terms of the team's mentality, because you're listening to someone new. Maybe the player that was the IGL before is still on the team. You might have conflicts with when you're giving call-outs, maybe. There's a lot of different changes, maybe even drop spots or how you view fights. Because if you're losing someone like Fierce, I felt, he had tremendous gun skill and stuff like that. It wasn't like that squad was weak in any way. Just more so maybe they needed that more of a figurehead role. And I'm still wondering, who that 4th player is going to be for the IGL. Everyone, put in the chat, maybe speculate with us. Give us a few hints if you have any ideas.
Well, I think I know. I just don't know if I want to spoil it. Joey
spoiler.
Told me.
Well, maybe that's a day 3 thing. Maybe we'll bring into that tomorrow. But Dave, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are in terms of a squad that's bringing in a new IGL. Do you think it's a huge revamp? Do you think they're going to be making that sort of plays? Or do you think there's going to be any conflict between, the previous IGL and the new one if it is Joey staying on that roster still?
Yeah, Joey's definitely staying, and we'll get back to that topic, put a pin in it, because, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've been waiting for. Game number 1, PMCO North America Grand Finals here. Day number 2, $20,000 prize pool. Today's the day. Let us know in the chat, who are we rooting for? Or will it be another dominant day from X Cuties mopping the floor, body bag in the lobby here? Let's get it, Enigma. So, let's get back into the topic though, real quick. Just while we're here, while we look at the drop.
Yeah.
So Joey still gonna be on the team. If I'm not mistaken, Joey's like an IGL right now too, right?
Yeah, and I
Fierce?
believe he's
Yeah.
IGLing it himself. I think it's Joey IGL, and it seems like he's the one that is in that sort of IGL role of Overwatch and stuff like that.
So I think if we're bringing in a new IGL, it's going to be important for the old IGL, and it could even be like a stress reliever almost for the old IGL to be like, hey, I just want to frag out. I want to get some kills this time around. I just want to focus on that. So I think it can be a refresher as long as the old IGL allows the new one to have the space, to revamp the squad.
Space is a big thing. And I mean, if it's scary thinking about Joey IGLing now, not in terms of that squad maybe underperforming or stuff like that, but his performance while IGLing. He's hitting 1v2 clutches and stuff like that. Jukes has got the idea of, giving clutch badges out, and he's given it plenty of times to players like Joey and Chico on that roster.
Yeah.
And think, imagining that Joey isn't having to think as in-depth or, as much time spent in-game when he could be, fragging and working on mechanics or stuff like that. Now, I think in my eyes, he is going to keep doing, VOD review or, reviewing with the IGL, just getting a little bit of that supporting role for him. I have to put a little bit of a note on that, Dave, because Fears of God going against old gangsters off rip on the hot drop in Pachinki, of all places.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Old Gangster is actually ending the night in Game 4 on a high note. I think having one of their best games. So hopefully with that momentum, it can carry over. Meanwhile, Fears of God definitely looking for a huge come up right here. And Fears of God with the cover fire, the crossfire here, onto a couple of the squad mates we saw out there in the open. So looks like OG are going to be losing one, and now here comes the collapse from Fears of God. Here we got a little AKM, a little DBS action. Not looking too good here. Old Gangsters down to just one on the rooftop, letting the slugs pump, and there they go. Old Gangsters, game number 1, day number 2, eliminated immediately. No knocks, no elims going their way either, so that's 0 points.
Yeah, Old Gangsters, team that had a bit of consistency in last chance qualifiers, having a little bit of a slower start here, but losing a 4v4 immediately off drop. That's a team that's been winning every contest drop on Sandhawk at boot camp. So I'm pretty surprised that they got, mopped pretty easily from Fears of God. 4 free points. That's one of the teams as well, that we were kind of eyeing at on that latter half of the leaderboard, that bottom 8, needing those sorts of points. And even now, the hot drops aren't stopping. Looks like C4 is going to be going at it with Strangers BD. Both teams have had moments in each of the matches yesterday, the 4 matches yesterday. Interested to see, though, if C4 is willing to give this up and maybe just split drop, or if they're going to take this fight.
Yeah, looking at C4, Psych is not with them. SYK, they're going to be out there in the west of Yasnaya, so they're going to be at the disadvantage. But holy cow, man, all over the place. We just got teams dropping it hot, man, dropping right on top of each other. Blue Tiam, we saw yesterday towards the later half of the evening, kind of coming to life almost, you can say. They are going to be up against X Cuties, the most dominant team in the lobby. A lot of grenades out right now. Snow looking to pre-cook that one, looking to anticipate the push from Blue Tiama, but Blue Tiama are going to be taking their time on the outside. So I'm looking at Wancho, M16 all the way in the back line. It's like Wancho is just trying to run over here as quickly as possible. All his teammates are going to be stalling for the time being. So Blue Tiam, I got to ask you, Enigma, they're taking a lot of time here to make this push.
Yeah, but you wanted someone to contest X Cuties, and this is the team, I guess. I heard your call. They're going for it. They do have two players isolated in the upstairs. Hopefully, Executies has a DBS or something. We can see in the background as well. Fate and Juancho starting to drive in, and I think you're on a bit of a timer here, Dave. You said it just now. Blue Team needs to make this push now, sooner versus later.
See a couple smokes in the stairwell right here will cause some confusion. Snow, DBS looking right over there, trying to listen into the sound cues. Blue Team working together as a unit. Here comes Snow, instantly collapsed right there with the UMP, and here comes the flush. Yep, there's 2 points going the way of Blue Team. And going back to just Executies in general, they were really separated, and we saw Fate and Wancho trying to make the push, you know, trying to provide the support needed to their teammates. But I believe Blue Team kind of getting the intel needed to know, like, hey, I don't think the whole team's here. I don't think it's a 4v4, and immediately just crashing up there on the third story to take them out, you know, so quickly.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the rest of the Executies roster, it doesn't look like Carey's in the lobby tonight, but maybe we'll see him later on. But with that push, you know, it's all about if Blue Team can get that first initial knock. Unfortunately, Executies losing the first initial trade with the DBS, missing the shots, and his teammate actually, I believe, got stuck on his body. You know, the knocked player in the doorway. So you really hate seeing that for your teammate because it doesn't allow you to move and strafe in and just gives them the free shot. So free little 2 points. You said it yourself. We have a few fights going on still, though, Dave. The C4 fighting Strangers BD's going on right now.
Yes, sir. G9 trying to get the jump shot with the Uzi, swapping on over to the M4 over here. In the corner, QZZ looking to get the angle with the UMP. UMP versus Uzi. I'm going for Uzi all day, man. Especially with the suppressor. That thing just sounds so good. And it looks like QZZ is going to be backing off here just a little bit. G9, no meds, though, to work with for the time being, and still just pushing. Meanwhile, Never side all the way back there, trying to get the off angle, but I don't know if that's going to help from this perspective with G9 in the front lines, you know, in the trenches, I guess you can say here, is going to help them with slowing it down. And I do see Psych coming up from behind. Remember, we were talking about C4 having that fourth member out there in the fields trying to group up, and definitely going to be surprising them, but they are going to be aware now. So Strangers BD has the intel. They did lose Revenge, but they definitely have the intel that Psych is over here.
Yeah, and I mean, Sick now he was the player that was in the offing. All he has to do now is just kind of buy time, let Pain run up, and actually gets an opening on Never's side. This is the player that was, you know, playing on top of that church building, I believe it was. Not really given too much cover fire. And I was going to say, too, the walls from that position are not really going to help you at all. Pain legging him through the window, I think, with a DBS. You know where the last guy is. C4 putting on a clinic right now with some of these DBS shots. You don't see that often.
Jeez.
A little bit of a point deny. 14th place. And while this was going on, Dave, Jovi eliminated, I believe we saw a bit on the bridge camp, on that military side, that eastern side. Really hate to see it. You know, maybe it's just a little bit of a slip and slide action going on with them. Hopefully, we'll see a little bit of a slower pace now going into the match with 3 teams being eliminated. The zone shift might be coming in a bit, but look at all these teams out in Blue Zone. What's your thoughts, Dave, on teams that choose to play the Blue Zone and kind of wait for the second zone shift to happen compared to just coming into the edge like what C4 is kind of doing or Saturn, where they kind of wait without wasting meds?
Yeah, I mean, early game, yeah, you waste a little meds, but early game in the blue, Papa Blue, as we got it called here in North America, isn't hurting too much, right? It doesn't hurt too much. It's more or less a tickle. So you definitely have time to pump the brakes and just try to get as much intel as possible, and maybe even loot an extra building or two in the blue. So, and you know, with this being PMCO, not all these teams are going to be expecting a squad in the blue rolling up late, you know, so it can always have that surprise factor. I feel like as we get to the more pristine lobbies, these players are always looking 360, even from the blue. I remember back in the day with the heal strat, you never knew, you know, somebody can be in the blue forever back in the day. So I feel like that has like a little bit of PSTD for those older players. So they're always just in the back of their mind, keeping tabs from the blue. So yeah, going forward here, we did see that next circle pot. Farm is going to be pretty much dead center. Pachinki, getting stinky in Pachinki, is going to be in play. Doesn't look like anybody wants to call that home for the time being. And then we see, I believe it was the Cuties up there by school. So a lot of open positions still here, Enigma.
Yeah, farm. I think a lot of these teams have the same idea, which, it's for the most part teams with the same sort of skill set, I believe, thinking of the same things, which is not too fortunate to see. Hopefully, some of these players can look back at, maybe the VOD after the first match and say, hey, we're kind of thinking the same thing as other people. Because right now, I mean, you talked about it, school sides completely free. We've got executives there. Jerway's fan club has a team behind them, not playing in Pachinki at all. Doesn't smell too good after all that fighting. And then YKG, even they're the team that usually drops from Morsk. They're coming in right now on that southwestern side with Saturn kind of trailing behind them. And I'd be a little bit worried being Saturn. They only had a few elimination points per game. We're getting too crazy of placements. And going into a team like YKG, where them having a bad performance isn't really going to throw them off their game. Missed the cue ball too much with that. So we'll have to wait and see. It is a little bit of a slower point in the match. And for some of these teams, I think, when I used to play competitive and stuff like that, my role in these early portions was just to keep people talking. Because if, maybe your day one performance wasn't that well, or maybe, some players, maybe just kind of like get thrown off their game or mental when they're not talking, I would just try to keep people talking. I would ask, weird, stupid questions, something random to make them laugh and kind of loosen up a bit. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you have to get used to this sort of position and stuff like that. And even when a game goes poorly wrong, I mean, for the most part, it's not like I'm going to say, everything's fine. Let's talk about the air, but let's move on. There's no point in talking about it. And unfortunately, some of these teams that went into farm, we see the zone shift just now pulling immediately towards Pachinki. So hopefully we see a team take that now. YKG even filling the spot along this roadside, holding a little bit of a split maybe. And take a minute now, though. Blue Tian making the rotate. Actually up towards the Pachinki. I would not expect them to be taking this spot in zone.
I just gotta say, I love the insight, man. With all your experience in game, like, you have been in the shoes of many of these players, many times at that. So love the insight there. And as we get back into the game, YKG down here in the south, you were chatting about Saturn being a little cautious of their position. They're gonna be able to zoom right by. See ya. As we send it to the water, still alive
down the mountain.
Oh, and a nice little trade, Darwin. But the lean peak over here, I believe that's 24K, right? Going to be flushed out here. So I would have guessed YKG having the advantage because they're set up on the crossfire while Saturn was in vehicles. But Saturn, hey, man, picking up the slack out here.
Yeah, and the buggy sprays, I'll say it time and time again. Some players are insane at shooting people out of vehicles. And 24K is one of the players that comes to mind, but I could never be solid at spraying people on the back of the buggy because there's that back seat that kind of covers you. And as that was going on, I mean, Joey hitting a beam on a blue Tiam, and they're actually getting full aggressive, only being a 3-man.
Yeah, and this is what we were chatting about in the pregame, that you gotta be worried about YKG, who are having fun. They're just looking to game and get as much money as possible here. So we see the knock from Joey, like you mentioned. And there was no hesitation from the other two squad mates of YKG, instantly popping their vehicles, going up to the hill, looking for the fight. That's what you love to see. And we saw Joey kind of playing the anchor position back here, making sure to hold down this compound. So it does look like they were able to get that one kill, but then pulling them back here. So slowing it down just a little bit. But the Nomads, okay, Nomads looking to get some intel over here onto the Zombie Boys, who I believe the Zombie Boys have been in this position for a hot minute now. Gonna have all the angles, all the intel, and it looks like the Nomads not really wanting that smoke for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, they've been chilling. They're always that sort of team where it's, even if they hold a spot and it's just barely in zone, they'll stay there. They don't really move too deep into it. Crow, thankfully for Julio, not landing as many shots as he would have liked to. Nomad still applying this pressure, but you can see the map on the top right there. I'm not seeing too many open spots anymore. The Doomsday Clock's about to ring for some of these teams because it centers directly onto XQTs holding the center compound. All these teams that opted to stay on the edge, maybe in farm and stuff, gonna have to be forced to fight here. XQT is only a duo too, so remember that, and also remember we did not see carry
at least in this match. But going back to the Nomads, oh my goodness, the vehicle Nomads. We're playing bumper cars out here. Pain jumping out the buggy with the DBS, getting the pumps in, but Baton from behind. UMP sealing the deal here, Enigma.
Yeah, I mean, they lost Alim, but 4-for-1 trade. It's C4 of all teams, too. You know, just getting eliminated early on. They do have 5 elimination points to their name, but, you know, it's not like they're in zone just yet, Dave. There's teams like Sentinels, there's teams like Jerway's fan club that still need to work the same side of the zone in with you. So I'm interested to see if Nomads will be able to do that, but a little bit of a slow point. The zone's going to take a bit of time to close. And Dave, I've got to ask, if you're one of these teams, you almost just send it center onto X-Cuties. You kind of predict that one of these spots might be free with all the hardships, or do you think that you kind of just keep playing the edge?
I think if you're on the edge, you just hold it. You know, you hold it for the time being. Like we see Black Mamba, they're actually going to be getting a care package dropping on top of them. So just play it slow, man. I know the center is looking like a tasty snack for a lot of these squads, especially when looking forward into the next zones. But there is a lot on the line too. You know, I'd hate for one of these teams on that second page of the overall to make that crash and just get blown to pieces. You know, like that would be a instant confidence debooster, I guess you can say. But getting back over here, YKG looking to take the fight. It's going to be Blue Tiam still locking horns here with squads in game number 1.
Yeah, but Twix holding this off angle, most players might not have seen it. Not getting the knock just yet, but YKG kind of in a precarious spot now, Dave. With all these positions kind of with the off angles, this hillside's not going to be too favorable to play.
Over here, another fight erupting on the edge near the shorelines. There's going to be Unique Legacy trying to hold it down, trying to avoid the grenades. Mario out here, toss of one, going for the 3-point fadeaway. Is going to be missing the mark. Fears of God, another squad. The team to win the hot drop, right? Early game.
Yep.
Not going to be on the receiving end of some DBS shots. They are going to be losing one, and now it's up to Illusion, actually, with the PB Bison on the boulders. Going for that pre-fire, looking for the head to pop up, but look at this. Just too strong. The 3v1 Pika with the M4. That's just tough, Enigma. You know, the 3v1, really, all the cards are just stacked against you. Like, let me ask you, 3v1, best case scenario right there. What would that have been for our boy on Unique?
You get the knock, and you go for the thirst. I mean, you get in the 1 point.
1 point.
Talk about, you know, how that team fight went afterwards. But, I mean, we didn't really see too much of a Unique Legacy topping the lobby right now with 8 total elimination points. Even though they are on the edge, 8 points is so better than, you know, I felt a lot of their matches yesterday. Seeing it now, you know, some of these players have found, you know, a little bit of a hidey hole maybe to play in. And the next zone shift is really going to be the deciding factor, Dave, for some of these teams.
And it goes back to, and I'm going to stand by this, the simple fact that X-Cuties lost too early. You know, because of that, they're playing super passive. They're in the compounds. And because of that, all these other teams on the second page can make some moves happen. And talk about making moves. We got 3 zombie boys pulling up right there. Julio with the Garoza letting that rip. But Black Mamba standing their ground right there. Nice little vehicle explosion from Unknown. The damage was massive. And now Eco getting the confirms over here.
Yeah, and I don't think Zombie Boys really recognized there was a solo player holding the shack on Black Mamba, kind of giving the off angle. So as soon as they slammed, I mean, we could see him in the back right now, just completely farming the Zombie Boys. And we do see a bit of the third party as well from Unique Legacy. So a bit unfortunate. The Zombie Boys will be essentially just crazy left alive. And he does have the ghillie. It's not, you know, the makeshift one where you're in the bushes, but hopefully he's going to be able to get in with the zone shift here. A lot of people are going to have to move, but the open top UAS is definitely not my choice on the vehicle to take.
Just keep sending it crazy. Keep sending it. Nobody sees you. The ghillie suit, just too strong.
Get in there.
We'll have to get back to that one. They're probably going to die anyways. Let's be real. Unique Legacy definitely doing a good job over here trying to confirm any possible elims on the board here. 9 so far. So Unique Legacy definitely having a great start to day number 2, and they're going to continue to play the edge. Looks like they're going to be pushing over here towards Saturn, playing nice and slow, trying to get the intel. Zombie Boy's crazy still alive, by the way. But what is going on here? We're obviously getting shot from the shack, but we're going to continue to drive that way. And Unique Legacy are just falling like dominoes one at a time. Oh, we're still alive. It's the 1v1. No more. The pre-fire through the smoke with the DBS.
Wow.
I'm not going to lie. That was sketch, dude. From Unique Legacy, they were kind of going in one at a time with that fight. That was too sketch for me, dude.
Yeah, I wanted to see some smokes thrown maybe, but they just full on drove. And as soon as the first player got knocked, I thought it'd be over. But one of them happened, to pull the DBS out. And with that gun, I mean, you only need to hit one shot. He hit two of them, gets two knocks, evens it up for the squad. And thankfully, his teammate wins the one. And I believe they only lost one player there. So 3 alive left on Unique Legacy. And some of these teams now are starting to really feel the pressure of losing players early on, such as Black Mob. They do have 2 eliminations to their name, Dave. But Chico now, I think he's the last player alive. He's been in this bunker for, the last 3 or 4 zones, I think, Dave. So hopefully we could see him maybe do a 1v4. But have to be like the Zombie Boys thing. Not sure if it's going to happen. A little bit of a nade.
I don't know. The fan club, they're really grouped up, man. If Chico can get a nice little Molotov or a nice little grenade in that bowl that the fan club's chilling in, might be able to do it. Obviously, the odds are not in Chico's favor, especially being a solo. But that's all it takes. Last grenade, by the way. Cooking it, tossing it. Can we get it into the goal? Missing the mark, fan club. Is short, man, in this bowl. But they're also going to be getting third party. We see the Nomad's baton up there behind the tree with nothing but sight lines on the fan club here. So obviously Chico's in a bad spot, but with the Nomads also overlooking this, Chico could play spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, the vehicle rotation, you're going to be slow coming out of the dip, and he's got an M4. It's not like he's not going to be able to hit those shots. Looks like Baton's putting a few into him as well, making the mad dash for the little bit of a tank cover. Does make it at 1 HP, but Nomads right now, the 2 players with the only eliminations on the squad, having 8 total between the 2. So maybe I have a chance to see here the zone rotation is going to happen, and Jerway's fan club
we're moving
making the move now into zone.
Chico is behind the burnt out BRDM. Looks like the fan club will be sending one as a scout to try to get a new position. Here comes the other 3. Baton. Going to be taking some shots on those 2 players in the buggy. But they are going to be able to get over the hilltop. So they're going to be safe for the time being. Only 1 elim on the fan club. 8 teams to go. So still, if we get taken out right here, right now, that's only 1 point for placement. So not where you want to be. Meanwhile, X-Cuties, the duo, still just smiling with their compound. Still favored in the zone here, Enigma.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at 4-1-2 as well, holding, a duo on this northwest corner of the map. Seeing a lot of these players be able to kind of just make a little bit of a little safe spot for themselves, whether it's with a vehicle or on one of the rocks. But Jerway's fan club not in a safe spot, getting knocked. Chico, unfortunately, getting eliminated off screen during that time being. But Jerway's fan club now, a little bit of the back foot with Blue Tiam being the team to apply pressure.
Yeah, Blue Tiam, I got to give it to them. Almost from the beginning of the game, they've been trying to get involved, trying to get into fights, trying to get these points. They recognize, like, today's the day. Make that comeback on the overall leaderboard. So they do have 5 elims so far. Another squad that is really just outshining everybody here in game number 1. Unique Legacy, 13 elims, still with a duo. So Unique Legacy, they're going to be down there in the south. They got a nice little buffer between them and everybody else. So definitely keep your eyes on them. But the team with the numbers advantage here, the fan club, still 4 up as they're going to be looking to make the crash on the Baton. Oh! Baton seeing their life flash before their eyes, but not before they're able to take down 1 or 2 as now it's crying out over there on their knees. Going to be bleeding on out.
Yeah, third party came in. I mean, you eliminated 1 4-1-2 member, but for what? I mean, you lost 2.
Yeah.
Maybe you go for that full send again. Get a little bit of another, buggy kill, so to speak. But Blue Tiam, I mean, really just a lot of these teams not making it easy for Jerway's fan club to find these sort of advantageous positions. Oh, my goodness. And Crow even coming in, even though he's a solo, opting to go for some nades here. Gets the thirst and a knock.
Got him.
onto the Jerway's fan club players. So really unfortunate to
Yeah.
see. Oh, the Mad Dash is
Dude.
going to make it
Fan
out. But
club,
now,
they
I
are
mean, it's
just getting picked apart by everybody now, man. They kind of got scattered right there on that.
wow.
Dude, the curveball behind the boulder too, by the way. Oh man,
Wow.
there goes the fan club, man. They kind of just like scattered like cockroaches there. I felt
Yeah.
like they just didn't have the right call, and maybe they had too many calls going on at the same time. And Baton really scaring them there, in my opinion, and kind of making them flock to their own individual barrel to just survive. And we saw how that ended.
Yeah, in the zone shift, we've seen it on the top right here. A lot of the buildings are still in play for these teams to kind of just chill on the edge and wait a little bit longer. But Unique Legacy, essentially the only team out of zone. They do have 13 to the name, but this rotate, I mean, there's not a lot of places to crash, Dave. I'm expecting them either, to take the fight with Blue Tiam and fight for the mountain, or maybe slam Executies and take that in-building
Here we go.
2v2. Oh, wait a second.
Pulling up right here. The two players of Blue Tian, they are not scared. There's going to be Black Mamba also getting involved here this game. Eco with the UMP, running out of bullets, looking for that reload. Pika really low in the health department. Does have a couple grenades to cook it up and see what we can do here. But their squad mate, Jesse Boy, with the support from behind. Now we only got one more Unique Legacy teammate alive. But same could be said, Eco. So it's a 1v1 over here. Eco with the health advantage. Looking to hit these grenades here. Both players just trying to toss that util back and forth, honestly. 6 grenades over here, level 3 vest, really battered up here, but we definitely have more utility to work with. And we know where Eco is. We see the smokes. What we got to do is cook that grenade to perfection and get another elim on the board here. Here comes the push through the smokes. Eco can definitely hear the footsteps. Back against the wall. UMP.
I don't
was
think
able
he
to
has
get a
any
heal
more
off.
frags though. Only Mutaba's got frags, Dave.
Knows where Mutab
Might
is
not
though,
even be a
without a doubt.
gunfight.
Especially after that pre-fire right there through the window. But Mutab, 4 grenades, cooking it, tossing it. Eco popping out the smokes right there to get another elim. Mutab trusting the grenades just too much there, Enigma.
Yeah, but 15 elimination points. I don't think you're going to be too upset about that. And unfortunately, Black Mamba, you win the fight, but you're a solo now. You had 3 going into that 3v2 situation and almost lost it. Zone shift's not helping you either. We have Executies who've been here most of the game as a duo. We've rarely seen them possibly able to get just a freebie point. And all these teams now that are on the mountain are going to have to start slowly condensing down. Crow, especially being the player of focus for these teams like Straight Out on a Paul, making sure that, they're not going to get snaked on.
There's going to be a lot of snakes here. Straight Out on a Paul, we saw some fans in the chat during the pre-show. Looks like that was able to help give them that much needed confidence here, as they do have the trio still alive. Russell with the Batwings backpack. You'll love to see it as, Halloween right around the corner with the DP as well. So one of my favorite weapons. Oh, and as I say that, though, 2 of them are going to be pushing into Crow from the Nomads. And, well, there's a Crow in a tree. Yep, we know there's going to be a player here. The last one alive for the Nomads. Crow making some big plays over here. Let's see. It's up to King trying to toss a grenade onto Crow, and yep, we were able to get him. So Crow actually going down to Blue Tiama in the back line right there.
Yeah, nice little smoke push from him. He had the ghillie as well, so you'd never expect it. 2 little freebies, 3 actually, I think, if they were able to get the last Nomad player. But, Straight Out on Paul not really having the best push opportunity, really losing 2 players with an Overwatch there. It's not something that you should really be seeing. We see off screen as well, team being eliminated by the Executies roster. And all these teams now, it's 2v1 situation, 2 on the compound with each of the solos kind of out towards the mountain here, Dave.
Here comes Fade cooking a grenade, trying to take out Twix behind the boulder. And that's good with the fade away from Fate right there. The duo from the Executies. They lost 2 really early on, and you know what they did? They went center compound and just held it down. Now in the late game, 2v1 situation. Fate hitting the dirt over there. HP. King with some nice shots. King going to be cooking this grenade. It's up to Wancho, as Fate is going to be looking for those heals. Wancho with the scar. 1v2 situation here. Couple smokes on Wancho, but I'm pretty confident that they know exactly where King is. King cooking up that Molotov, getting ready to toss that one. Now it looks like Fate and Wancho trying to spread out just a little bit. Fate is going to be popping that buggy, looking for some more intel. And King doing the same thing. Immediately tagged and bagged right there. Shout out to them, though. Second place. But Enigma, okay, break it down, because XQT's only a duo for most of that game, still winning the chicken. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of just getting a little bit of blessing from the other squads. You know, no one decided to push your compound. It is a big enough compound where I feel, you know, a team could be upstairs, you know, on the lower level. But, you know, they were able to just kind of chill there, you know, count their ammo, I guess you could say, in each mag, and really just taking the sight to see, because they did only have, I believe, 3 or 4 elimination points that round. It wasn't like they were playing like how they were yesterday. But, you know, I do like seeing straight on Nepal, though, getting a second place. Unfortunately, when we did get a chance to spectate them, that 2 of them did get 1v2'd by a Nomad player, but we'll just skip over that. Placement points matters for that squad especially. And in my eyes, it's a lot of just these squads, I think, maybe being a little bit too passive late game. There are some do or die plays where you're sending the compounds. Maybe we could see that more in the next matches. But, you know, in my eyes, Dave, I think that game was pretty great. The XQT squad was eliminated kind of early, and it allowed these teams to play how they wanted to, like the last match.
Listen, you've been in this situation before. What are the comms like when you're getting shot and you're on the cliff and you just send it over the cliff? Like, give me a play-by-play on those comms, man. What are you telling your teammate that you're actually doing over there?
That I'm getting shot at, and then as soon as I tumble, I'm probably just laughing about it. And then I'm saying, you know, while I'm laughing, don't expect, I'm not able to help you. Don't fight him. Just let me come around the mountain and you know, maybe drive it. I don't think he did. I think the vehicle had gone in the water maybe, with how fast he was going. But if I'm shooting him too, you know, you got to think of, I believe it was 24 taking the shots. You see a Murado start tumbling off the cliffside.
It's nuts, man. And are we seeing, I saw one of the players from Unique Legacy rocking the corn suits. Are we seeing the return of the good luck corn suits here? Unique Legacy, after game number 1, 15 eliminations. Nothing stopping this squad here. Blue Tiam, we were chatting about them. Really proactive throughout the entirety of the match. Really got to tip the cap to them there. Really did like their play style. I feel like Blue Tiam kind of coming back to form, and correct me if I'm wrong, but coming back to form on what we saw from them in the last chance qualifiers almost.
Yeah, and I mean, for that, a lot of it was just more so the last day of the last chance qualifiers. I believe they had 2 games where they had double-digit elimination points. They really strided and found themselves, you know, making those gaps of improvement that we hadn't really seen too much from most squads. And today even, unfortunately, it was just 2 players for this match dropping those 10 elimination points, but that's a huge confidence boost for Blue Tiam coming in today, thinking, you know, a lot of these squads, they had a few elimination points. It was mostly just XQTs that was stopping us. If we're able to, you know, maybe pick up 1 or 2 of those elimination points, just see that they're not in the lobbies of 4, man, it'll allow us to just play our game. And their game, of course, just showed it worked. And unfortunately, that bottom of the leaderboard, we're seeing Jerway's fan club at 9th, but 4 points isn't a lot, and Joby with another goose egg. So hopefully, I'm praying, Dave, that we don't see a goose egg going into 3rd day, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a military zone going their way. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is game number 1. Keep the chat flowing. You love to see the interaction and the fans cheering. We're going to keep the lobbies rolling, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.
It's time to upgrade your PUBG mobile outfits. Join free daily cups for solo, duo, or squads. Win Faceit points. Exchange for PUBG Mobile UC. To customize your account, join Faceit today and earn rewards. Try for free at faceit.com/PUBG Mobile.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Game number 1 in the books here. Heading to game number 2 here very shortly. After game number 2, Enigma, that's the halfway mark of this weekend. It's crazy to think about. It's crazy to say. But this is the halfway mark here of our tournament this weekend.
Yeah, the format's just a big thing for some of these players to realize because the first day you can't really recognize it. The first game, even on the second day is, like maybe we still have a bit of breathing room. But after this game, I mean, some teams are already about to reach the 100-point mark. So if you're not really on the board just yet, in a comfortable spot in your eyes of maybe you want to finish top 8, top 5, even top 3 for that prize pool spread that looked pretty good for a lot of teams just starting to play PUBG Mobile. But I got to ask you, Dave, when you're some of these teams and, you're competing, do you want to see them always gunning for first, or do you feel like they should just be aiming for those small little steps and goals even that the roster should be placing?
Yeah, I think with this being only 12 games, you have to aim for first, regardless of if this is your first PMCO or your fourth PMCO. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to remember you unless you were in that first place spot, And although some of these teams, we're not seeing the best performance here so far, I think when it comes to individual players on that level, you want to do good too, because of course you'd want to continue your PUBG Mobile career. And if you got good stats, it's just going to make it all that easier, because we have to assume after this season, there's going to be new teams coming about, new rosters forming. We kind of already chatted about YKG and their plans. So I think to answer your question, gun for first every single game, baby.
Yeah, and I mean, I think too as well. You talked about individual performance. If your team is maybe not feeling the best, or maybe their mentals are starting to slip a bit in terms of aiming for that first place, you still should try to aim for first yourself, even as an individual player. I mean, I had the chance to talk with some of the level X players, Carnegie and Krish, over last night, and I'd seen them, even though they didn't make PMCO Grand Finals, they were posting content, they were looking, to play and practice, and I expect a lot of these players almost to take a note out of their book of, coming back, looking to become better and stronger and just improve yourself, because if you mental boom yourself, just showing that you're no better than the rest of the team, you could be on a team, maybe this next split, of you just putting content out, showing that you have the mechanics, what it takes to really be able to hang with some of these teams. And that's how you start at the beginning. The only way to get your name out is either you're first, or you put the content out there for others that are in those spots of power, those, power teams in the region to pick you up maybe.
I thought you were going to hit us with the Ricky Bobby quote. If you're not first, you're last. I thought you were going there, dude. But yeah, to your point, like the content, like I know North America, everybody chats about Coops, and for good reason. The dude, I know, no longer plays in the region, but definitely had their start over here and made a name. And now Coops making consistent content, even if it's just like VODs. I'm looking at the dude because I follow him. 20K views, maybe 20 to 40K views per video. So I definitely agree with you. We need some more pro player perspective content here for PUBG Mobile. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of that one, without a doubt, man. Game number 2, we're waiting. It's getting loaded up, if I'm not mistaken. Players trying to get all squared away or ready to go after such an intense game number 1. But we got to chat about a little bit about Unique Legacy. I feel like having a ton of elims. We saw them all game pretty much getting involved. What are your thoughts about that?
I was a little skeptical of yesterday because they did have a solid last game with only 1 elimination point. Second place placement points do save you a little bit, but it seemed like today that they had a whole 180. Whether it's the fights they're taking, maybe it's just they felt that they were getting eliminated and thirsted out too early in the match, because we saw them fighting really only in the 3rd, 4th zone and auto, and it wasn't like they were taking those hot drops or taking those sort of 4v4 fights in the first zone. So maybe they've found the recipe for success that these other teams haven't just yet. But I mean, 15 elimination points from a squad that is almost a nobody in my eyes. Yeah. Really surprising. I think a lot of the lobby, especially teams like 412 Nomads and that sort of stuff, where they've been those namesake teams that have had the consistency YKG even, where they've had the games, but another team that you've never heard of dropping the same, if not more, eliminations than maybe your best match in the tournament so far, it's unheard of.
Yes. Yeah, it was actually pretty insane, and GG's to them. Hopefully, we continue to see the momentum roll over into game number 2 that is getting loaded up right now. It is going to be Miramar. Game number 1, I believe we saw 3 different hot drops. Yes, 3. And we saw 3 teams get taken out within the first 2 minutes. So I have to assume game number 2, they're going to look to not do that again. You don't want to get the repeat back-to-back goose eggs. But ladies and gentlemen, promised game number 2, day number 2, PMCO North America Grand Finals, Miramar.
Got Grand Finals. You don't have many games left. You talked about it before. This is, after this, you're at the halfway mark. We're seeing the live rankings on the left side. Executi's up there, of course, with that 88-point mark. They won that last match with only a few eliminations, but still creating some sort of gap between them and second place. But I'm looking at it right now, Dave. Unique Legacy had shot up to just at 5th place, right under Blue Tiam and C4. So one game for a lot of these teams is really able to shoot you up the leaderboard. And look at that. They're even equal with YKG.
Jeez. Massive. And kind of similar to what we saw in the last chance qualifiers. I know you were there. What was it? YKG, 1 game, 22 elims. Like, they shot up so far. And it was just amazing. Like, that's all it takes, Unique Legacy last match, kind of similar storyline. They had a really rough day 1. They picked it up a little bit, but I think after that last match, they are feeling confident in themselves, and that should transition over to some momentum. I'm all about that momentum here in PUBG Mobile. So Unique Legacy, now a contender when it comes to, I'm not going to say first yet, but I'm definitely going to say, second, third, and fourth. Now, they continue without a doubt, but right now, XQTs, it's all eyes on them. What minor mistakes, I'm going to say, will they make to block them from getting the first place? Because it's up to them to just tighten up and make sure not to make any mistakes, honestly. It's them against the lobby.
Yeah. And I think even that, you talk about the mistakes. Is it really the lobby then if you're the one making the mistakes and not just the other team, making a good play? It's really you against yourself. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're not playing with Carey. Maybe we will see him. I do see his name. They drop it, La Cabrera. So there is the player of the night in the lobby. And I want to go back to
we're back.
X-Carey. He's back in here.
Okay.
He's back in here.
Oh, man.
So he's here. I'm ready to see it. Hopefully, he puts on a stellar performance, at least for me to cast, but maybe the other people in the lobby don't really like that. But these teams,
that's
man,
not what you wanted to have.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
no
they
shade with
saw the
AP23, by the way. We saw yesterday Carey was just dominating.
Yeah. It's not saying he's bad, but Carey's the GOAT, and I'm going to stick with it. I think it's PB. PB the GOAT.
I think so too, man. I think it's power.
I'm not saying it's Coops. I'm not saying it's him just yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's Coops either, because we saw Coops in the chat saying yesterday, I'm Coops. So, I think it's PB without a doubt. So, with that being said, it's like we're harping on Carey for a good reason. It's not like we're on the bandwagon. It's all facts. And the reason being is Carey yesterday had more elims than some of these teams had in total points, right? So, it's definitely warranted, in my opinion, to be a Carey fan here in this lobby.
Yeah, and some of these squads, we've seen those pop-out performance days. Yesterday was obviously, the XQT's day. They had a second place game 1 and then one back-to-back for the Miramar and Sandhawk. And then, match 4 was a bit of a saving grace for most of the lobby, being able to pick up some elimination points themselves. But going back to the YKG thing and the Unique Legacy comparison, YKG had dropped to 22, had the same exact zone almost on that last Erangel to allow them to drop another high elimination match and actually, finish first for the last chance qualifiers. Now, Unique Legacy, I'm going to be keeping an eye on them, because if they do have a star seller, Miramar here, I could see them kind of doing a similar feat of, they could be shooting up the leaderboard to possibly even pass Nomads in second place.
and that would just be insane. And Nomads, we were chatting yesterday, last chance qualifiers, very consistent team, really consistent. So hats off to them. Hopefully they can continue that here in this lobby. Let me ask you though, as we are in the podcast hour here on Miramar, just kind of chatting, looking at teams on the rotates. I'm trying to remember, what teams were you? Were you ever on a wild card back in the day?
Well, I had originally started on a team called Team Totality, played a
Team
few
Totality. I remember
ESLs,
that
and
team.
played a PMCO, and had played a PMCO with that roster. After that, I joined the wild card roster. That was when it was Spring and Acer, a lot of namesake players that had played for, whether it was Misfits or Omen. There's a lot of different histories and different resumes that came together with that squad. And
So I want to
had
ask
the
you though. I want to
beauty-
ask you on that point because it came to me because I remember Wild Card. You guys used to be nicknamed Zone Card because you always had the best zones and the best rotates early on. And I want to kind of pick your brain here now that we are in Miramar. Like, if you were back on Zone Card, like, what would you be looking at, and where would you be wanting to go?
Well, it was never my role to do it. That would all have to be Spring's brain. But I think he had a unique way of recognizing open spots near the center of the zone, whether it was zone 2 or 3. We liked playing that edge. I mean, for Erangel, we would drop all the way on the north side of the map, completely away from everyone. But when,
Dude's beaming out here, man.
Wait a second. But, we'd make these sort of rotates that I think it's just a lot of brilliance from some players where they're able to recognize some of these spots are open and whatnot. And it allowed us to get those later zones just because a lot of these other teams were able to rotate there before us. They chose to stay on the edge and kind of play a bit safer, thinking the zone would maybe sort of hard shift onto them. And it never did. And for us, we had a lot of blessing games, but in my eyes, every team has that sort of stuff. You're able to get zone blessed one way or another. There's still a fact of you got to hit your shots when it matters most. And we saw that with last game, X-Cuties, a bit of zone blast. They were a duo, so it's a little bit more of a give and take situation of getting a little bit luckier with no one pushing you. But just having that potential of, kind of just making sure you pick up those free points that are given to you. Because if you get eliminated early in those situations where you get the zone, it's probably one of the worst feelings possible as a competitive player. So I'm interested to see how some of these teams can deal with it. But Unique Legacy, my goodness. The team that we were just praising, we were keeping an eye on, losing a player early. I believe actually maybe 2 now. Yeah. Just 1 trade themselves. So rough start for them. This is, a rotation as well. This is not a hot drop fight for them. So hopeful to see some of these teams maybe opt to take the rotations a bit more on these maps because this is essentially the midway point for the tournament.
Hey man, I just gotta say I love just being able to have you here on this level of competitive on this side of the chat too, man, because I could pick your brain for days. So shout out to Enigma right now, everybody, ladies and gentlemen in the chat. The big brain out here. But I think I'm going to take the blame for that last Unique Legacy player. I said on the pre-show, he's got the corn soup buff. Oh man, the 1v3.
Caster's
Listen,
curse.
blame it on me. Yeah, I'll take the L on that one. All right. So Unique Legacy definitely with a buffer after game number 1. But over here, Black Mamba up against Saturn. It's gonna be Darwin over there catching some mini 14 shots. Holy cow! Who were we just watching? One of the players from Black Mamba. They had like 500 bullets of 5.56. It was actually insane. Jesse Boy up there on the high ground. That's a lot of ammo, my dude.
Yeah, I mean, goodness. I don't know if he didn't find smokes or what, but I would have definitely
500
dropped
bullets.
it a little bit. But like maybe he's got a level 3
That's
bag,
bad for Darwin
hopefully.
with only 15.
Yeah. I mean, I'd almost be mad at my teammate. Like, why aren't you giving me some? But Black Mamba now, they're kind of pulling a little bit of a snake maneuver surrounding this Saturn solo. Does have an S12, though. So if Unknown does decide to take the 1v1, could be caught off guard. But C4, party. Actually, a third party in the back, Dave.
You love to see it from C4, man. They are known for their third parties. And here we go. They clean up onto Darwin. They know exactly where they were. They had them pinned down for a majority of the engagement. But let's see, though. C4, hearing those shots, might have an idea. Actually, the Black Mamba are somewhat separated. Could have the upper hand. We see Eco now trying to group up with their teammates, maybe even pick them up or pop into one of these compounds for hard cover here. This is not in zone, though, Enigma.
This is kind of the scary thing too, because you just had this power, mountain position and pushed into Saturn, where Black Mamba currently is at now. And I mean, I can almost picture it going the same way as Black Mamba, getting a little bit angled out here from the mountain. We see Bond rotating on that far west side of the hill, trying to spot maybe if they make the rotation into them. You did say, though, the zone's not really favorable for them. Black Mamba's going to make the rotate themselves, and they did pick up 3 elimination points, thankfully. They didn't lose a player at all in that engagement. C4, I believe, getting 1 elimination as well on the pain. So some of these teams, deciding to take some of these early game spots that are really not reaping rewards from. And Carry, though, a little bit of an off
already showing up.
2 on the YKG.
Jesus. Oh, my. Yeah, YKG, we're going to continue to chat about this team just because they are some veteran players. They have a lot of experience when it comes to this level of competition, but they're looking at this tournament as a moneymaker / no stress, just have fun free zone here. So that might be kind of playing against them as they are playing too relaxed, leaning back in their gaming chairs. Meanwhile, Carey warmed up. My dude warmed up after missing game number 1. Already with 2 elims in the pocket. So we were kind of chatting like, are we going to have another day with Carey just popping off? My dude has been playing for like 5 minutes, Enigma, and already has 2 elims.
Yeah. Stage 2. It's on YKG of all teams as well. And it's definitely not going to sit well, because you start thinking they're just like, is this guy even killable? Are you even going to be able to, finish this guy in the lobby? I have to say that for later, though, because 412 now taking a fight with FOG.
Yes, sir. They had a nice little grenade, I believe. Illusion. We are going to be in the blue. A little more pressure, but Illusion with the scar. No more nades after that one. You're going to be pulling up with the shotgun. Looking to crest the heel. 2 members of the Nomads right there. Prime for the take-in. Gotta watch out for those UMP shots, though. Looks like Illusion just biting off a little more than they can chew. Meanwhile, their teammates in the back line not really providing that support. I mean, we got our dude with the M249. A little scared here, but look at that. Z66 with a nice grenade. I want to see Fears of God. Make the push, man. Get the collapse. Get the kills in the pocket here, man. They're going to allow the revive. So Z66 trying to toss another grenade, but cooking it too much, man.
You gotta go for it. I mean, they're softened up by the zone. They're getting the nade knocks when they're needing them. Unfortunately, Gun Pain being down to just 1 HP. And here you go. The push they needed. 1 getting knocked on the push. 412 Nomads starting to salvage this. A 1v4 situation. And
oh no.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Fears of God. They had the spot. Baton was knocked first as well on that engagement, Dave. And the nade knocks just not taking the initiative and taking those fights. So 412 able to pick up those 4 free elimination points, not lose any players. And this is also on the edge of the screen as well. Straight out of Paul was in a spot to maybe third party. Oh, actually, wait a second. They were in an engagement themselves. Get in! No! The bus rotation not saving them. As on a lot of these teams, unfortunately, they're taking these edge zone rotations and choosing to take the fights without really committing to them. So hopefully some of these teams, Dave, can start to learn from their mistakes, because this is match 6. After this, there's not really any more room for mistakes.
The halfway mark, and all I gotta say is that if I got an M249 and we got a couple enemies bleeding out, you already know I am pre-firing just letting it rip, man, with the M249. So hey, lessons learned, like you said. And talking about lessons learned, the fan club and Jovi, 2 squads who desperately need some points, are going to be up close and personal here on the east side. So Jovi with the high ground. I believe they have the intel, but Jovi just have not really had the best go of things here in the last couple of games here. 0 points still. So if they can get this win on this team fight, that could be the confidence booster they've been looking for here.
Yeah, and Jovi, they have this position where it's high ground. You can see a lot of teams rotate in, and we just saw Solo, taking some mini 14 shots, but we're not really seeing damage get put down across range. We're not seeing, these teams really get punished for rotating along the roads. We also see Strangers BD to their north. this is one of those spots where I'd expect a team to possibly, you know, pick up an elimination or two off rotation, but not really reaping the rewards from it. We see the zone shift, though. Unique Legacy, the team that lost 2 players early on, getting centered up, hopefully for them, making that sort of executives luck going their way. And a lot of these teams are kind of already near the edge of the circle. I'm interested to see which teams are going to choose to fight or which teams are going to choose to just keep rotating around the edge.
Yeah, XQT's a little 3-1 split too on top of the Crater Fields, the tippy top. So they're going to have some nice sight lines, and we might see them fight the Nomads if they do opt to kind of send it through there. And 24K from YKG still alive, but straight out of Nepal. They lost Vortex here very early on. Looks like they do have 2 elims, trying to take some shots down range here on the Sentinel. So this is essentially a 3v3 here in the north, but they also need to be careful not to get third-partied from yours truly, the Zombie Boys, who are definitely looking for some points here. 0 points so far this game, as looks like for the time being, both teams are going to be just playing a little slow here. I believe both teams definitely aware of the Zombie Boys up there in the hilltops and trying to come up with a plan, right? Once when the blue zone closes in, this is not in the zone here, Enigma.
Yeah, the scary thing too is Zombie Boys is the most comfortable when they're 4 players up, and that's exactly how they are. We're going to have to switch it over to this east side, though, Dave. It's the Jerways fan club that was underneath Jovi, now taking the engagement with Strangers BD.
Here we go. Ricky pulling up with the Scar UMP combo. Revenge cooking a grenade. Ricky doing the same thing. Opening the door. Hello. Knock, knock. Grenade. But look at this. The DBS to the back. Taking down Ricky. Revenge going to be popping out of the smokes right now. UMP pre-fire. The fan club needing that buff here, man. I appreciate the fan club being proactive, trying to take the fight. Ricky with the grenade in the front line. Just too strong, though, here, Enigma.
Yeah, and I mean, Ricky had actually 2 knocks there with the 1 frag grenade. It wasn't just one. He had the guy reviving and the other player that he had tagged up to 1 HP. Unfortunately, though, the Overwatch in the back getting knocked, allowing the rest of Strangers BD to kind of move away from the compound and take those off angles with the pre-fires. So, a little unfortunate to see. They were a 3-man at some point as well. I'm not sure when they had lost their 4th player. We're going to see now, though, 412 Nomads, a team that was essentially in 2nd place, taking a fight with the 1st place team.
Let's see. Crow has been hitting them shots here so far, at least when we do pop over to them. 2 elims on them so far here this game. Crow looking for some heals. And we did see Carry with 3 elims, so Carry with all the points here so far. Looking to cook a grenade. 1 more grenade, 2 Molotovs. That's a good idea where the Nomads are piled up, as we can see those smokes over here. And if I'm the Nomads here, I'm getting real uncomfortable, especially with snow on the hilltop. With the mini, the 8 times, my dude zooming on in. Nomads, they're looking pinched here, Enigma.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got, I think it was 50 bullets for the mini, so I'm not too sure how he's going to switch to the UMP for a little bit of time, but zone shift's going to happen. 412 Nomads can't stay there for long, and I'm expecting them to take this engagement with executives, because right now, if you're 412, even if you get a knock on any of these players, you got to go for it. It's too late in the game to make the rotations. You got to take the engagement and go for that squad wipe.
Not only that, there's a player all the way on this hilltop too who, you're playing oversight, but they could use the hill, the terrain to their advantage and push along the north end, actually, and try to wrap around, and that will avoid the sightlines of snow. And it actually looks like that's what they're trying to maneuver here. Heads up play from the Nomads. They're going to be tossing some smokes to get ever so closer. Carry with some pre-fire right there. Wancho, 3 more grenades, 1 more Molotov, trying to put a stop to the push from the Nomads here. Baton in the front lines, tossing one. You can have it. Trying to get the damage on the board, and it is going to be connecting on to Carry, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what you were looking for, Enigma. You said if they get a knock, you got to make the push. This is your opportunity. And here it comes.
Yeah.
Smoke. Soft cover is going to be blocking the 2, but Lim with the UMP, the spray down, Wancho shotgun, letting it rip here. Going to be taking down Gunpain. Carry is going to be thirsted. Very interesting move right there from Crow, but Wancho is just clocking it, putting in the work right here. Poncho on the front lines, putting a stop
3K.
with their squad mates right there to the Nomads.
Yeah, and the scary thing too is that the squad was able to recognize that, hey, we already have Snow overwatching. Quancho decides to move forward and help carry and Fate in that sort of situation. Now, obviously, they lost carry, their main carry, so to speak, but taking the 4 elimination points on a squad like 412 Nomads is definitely a feat in itself. You're fine, I think, with just losing the one player. Fortunately, one player left for OG being thirsted out by Blue Tiam, who surprisingly still has 4 players. A lot of these squads have taken early losses, Dave, and a few of them have been able to keep, these 4 players alive. And one of them that comes to mind is Strangers BD. They have 6 elimination points with all 4 players left alive, compared to a team like Jovi, who's still rocking the goose egg. Thankfully for them, they are getting into that placement point contention range if they can just last maybe another zone or 2 longer.
Yeah, Jovi still 4 up, 0 points. If they get taken out right here, that's still 0 points. So hopefully they could either survive a little longer or start getting a little proactive. But like you said, straight on the Paul over here, looks like we do just have King looking to save Russell. We see the smokes. Russell should be safe in the garage. I believe that was the Zombie Boys taking some shots at them, but now the Zombie Boys still on the high ground. The lean peak right there. Okay, I see you.
They're putting in the work, Dave. They're putting in the work. That's all I can say.
See if G9 could return the favor over here, as Voltex is going to be hopefully getting picked up. And you're saying Strangers BD having a really solid game here. Couple elims already. They need to cross their fingers. And as I was going to say, hope the zone hard shifts. It does not. So, Enigma, let me ask you, where do you go if you're Strangers BD right here?
I think you go east, maybe. That's kind of where they came from originally, I believe. They were more so on the east side, north of Joby in the earlier zone rotation. So kind of just backtrack. Try to just maybe send it in as well, either onto a ridge or a little shack even. I mean, we're on stage 5. A shack play this late on I don't think is too bad. But some of these teams have, kind of been blessed maybe with their positioning. Jovi, even though they're on the edge, has the entire high ground on the east side of the map, with Black Mamba being able to just sit dead center at that compound. So some of these teams are really going to hopefully be able to reap the rewards of having to see teams like Strangers BD rotate underneath, if not into them or in front of them.
Could be a really big game for Jovi, the game that they desperately need here. So let's see, they're going to have to fight the final boss of, what'd you say, Blue Tiama down there in the south.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one ends up going, as the Zombie Boys pushing into the zone just a little bit, and Strangers BD doing the same thing. So both teams kind of throwing out the calling card to just push in and fight another day. Here comes Jovi, though, passing the Riz King. Riz King still alive, UMP. Oh, makeshift ghillie. Oh, it seems to be working here, Enigma. The makeshift ghillie. They don't know.
He's got it in the teeth. He's got the branches in the teeth. In the helmet. In the back. But they have a ghillie themselves.
Man. This is the only bush here, by the way. The only bush. Nowhere else around here. Riz King is just like,
wow.
They didn't see me. And now Jovi actually looking to get into a fight with Strangers BD. We see Solo cooking a grenade. Okay, Jovi looking to make a push here in the smokes.
Big damage. They didn't get the knock,
they got a kill too. They got a kill onto the Zombie Boys. So this is a nice little 4v4 in the compound with the Zombie Boys trying to third party this one. But let's see. Solo, you can have it, is what they said. Solo onto G9. That's the start they needed to push the building, the vault, and the spray down. That's what we've been missing from Jovi.
It took 5 games. Okay, it took 5 games, but now they're locked in. 5 on the board for the squad. While that was going on, I believe Zombie Boys still taking this engagement on this western side. XQT's the team that was, holding that insane spread on the mountain, Dave, deciding to come down it. So I'm interested to see where the zone shift takes us and see who and all for these snakes and those little self gillies are gonna have to rotate in.
It's so funny. I was reading the chat earlier, and they were saying Jovi going for the world record of getting 0 points in a tournament. Well, they just put a stop to that. Beautiful
Yep.
fight, by the way. I love the. You can definitely tell the communication was on point. You know, they all pushed together. They used those smokes to perfection. And when Solo got that grenade knock, the whole team just straight up rushing it right there. So I feel like they are fed up with their performance here so far. And they're like, listen, this is the halfway mark. Like, let's start to play. And I think with that fight, that could have been the fight that turns the tides for the squad here in the grand finals.
Yeah, I think they just were able to keep it, pretty simple. They had the opening knock on the other team for Overwatch, so it's, hey, let's take this 4v4 engagement. They're all in one building, so everyone's mindset's going to be just use util. Solo gets the opening knock, and at that point, everyone should have the idea of full send it in there. No one should be staying outside. And Jovi, allowing themselves to pick up those 4 eliminations just from that squad alone. And some of these teams now are starting to really make me question if they're going to be able to turn up the knob like what Unique Legacy and Jovi have done in these last 2 matches.
This has to be the game that Jovi tries to win, as they got the numbers advantage. I believe one of them just got knocked, but they should be able to get picked up. The thing that concerns me, though, the Riz King still alive.
Yep.
I'm kind of concerned with that one. And Jovi actually going to be losing 1. So I'm just jinxing them. Okay, finally taking out the Riz King. Thank goodness, because I was worried about the player. But still, I'm a true believer that Jovi, this is their map. They're looking pretty good up there in the north.
Yeah, but Unique Legacy is still trying to keep this, in arm's reach for them, because Zombie Boys is a team that, outside of zone, having to take a 3v2 engagement with Unique Legacy.
Here comes the collapse here. Zombie Boys getting fed up with the grenade battle. Unique Legacy, I believe, down to just 1 after that last grenade. Trying to make their last stance to pre-fire with the UMP through the window. Are going to be backing out. Molotov. Oh no, we're burning alive over here. The chaos in the smokes over here. And we're actually to pop out of the compound and rotate on around. But crazy with the DBS finally able to seal the deal right there. Zombie Boys, a couple more points in the pocket, should be able to heal up there with their new position on the edge.
Yeah, and I mean, for the edge position, I'm liking Juancho's little position around here. He's on top of one of those little shack, little 1-stack compounds that are spread
did Jovi
together.
Die? Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Sorry, Enigma. I did not mean to take you off your train of thought, but I was gassing up the spot so much.
Nope. Caster's curse. That's my only answer for this, I think. It's just we give him the faith, and then it's just we just get swift kicked right out from underneath us. So
meanwhile, FaZe is reversing in the open. He's like, beep, beep, I got this. Oh, no, man. So let me ask you here. End game, who do you got? Who do you got, man? What's your hot take here on who's taking the dub? I said Jovi, and they're done. But who you got?
So I'm gonna say XQTs. So hopefully the same thing happens of them getting a little bit of casual curse. But unfortunately, Juancho on this roof spot's virtually able to see everything, and we see one vehicle. Oh my goodness, beamed through the tree. And look at this. I mean, we have a Shack team and a team that's having to make the mad dash with smoke. So you're virtually able to just sit right on top of you. And Dave, now it's just a 2v2 situation.
R.I.P. the Zombie Boys. Back to the graves they go here. They're comfortable with that. But 2v2, like you said, Juancho still on the rooftop. My dude's hitting them shots, looking at the Black Mamba. They got 2 vehicles to go, but Snow pushing through the smokes. Happy, Tree Stay connecting the shots right there. Now it's up to Juancho here. Oh, look at that. Whoa! Pappy, what the heck is going on over there? Making it an even 1v1 for Juancho. Juancho looking for the reset over here, possibly? No, looking for the grenades. Looking to seal the deal over here. Going for the long 2-pointer. Could this be good? Some nice splash damage right there. Fortunately, Poppy was able to pick up Unknown because that would have been the throw of the century. And now it looks like we are going to get a revive over here on 2XQTs.
Yeah, zone 9. They know one's in the shack off the revive, little TPP angle. Hopefully Black Mom has a few smokes to contend for the center spot because it's zone 9. The zone's closing. It's going to end somewhere along that tree Juancho's standing next to. And the issue is now you got to make the push. You allowed Executies to make that sort of mad dash across, but the nade bounce from Unknown, opening it up for the squad. Maybe trying to find a vehicle. Poppy Trise going for a bit of an off angle. Daven gets beamed over the roadside. Unknown clutching it up for Black Mambas in a 2v2 situation. I was hoping the caster curse would come through, and thankfully it did for these other squads. So Black Mamba picking up points that they needed to shoot themselves up on the leaderboard.
Dude, Black Mamba were kind of making it a little easy too for Executies to reverse the curse almost right there, but fortunately we were able to get the pick up there. But all in all, huge W, huge winner chicken dinner for that squad, Black Mamba. If I'm not mistaken, we're on the second page coming into today, so love to see these underdog teams, I guess you can say, from day number 1 really start to, as you said, turn the knob, you know, just a little bit, ramp it up just a little bit, and clutching it out. But then again, Executies, another consistent game. So at the same time, nobody's catching up to this team, man. Nobody.
Yeah, halfway mark. I mean, I'm just itching to see what that, you know, cushion looks like. We'll maybe see it, you know, on the playing path like we've been able to the last few games. But going back, you know, to some of these teams, Unique Legacy comes to mind. They were the team that dropped, you know, that 15 elimination first map on Aaron Go. We come around to Miramar, and I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt of, hey, you know, you can maybe pull a YKG or an Executies where you have a solid game 1 and you're able to carry that throughout the night. But unfortunately for them, taking early engagement, losing 2 players instantly, I believe, to Sentinels, really just not, you know, a good mental space for the squad where you just have a huge, you know, turn up game and then maybe just overheated and eventually just burnt out yourself on this Miramar.
I love this push. This was just a good push. You know, like you said, a simple push. It worked. Back to the basics. I think that's what Jovi needed to really pull out here in this game, and they did just that. Unfortunate for them, they got Gate Captain annihilated on the next play, but you know, it happens, and I think they're in the right direction. So Juancho trying to save the day. So many Molotovs, so many grenades here, but that Shack, honestly, the third player for Black Mamba all the way up until the end. So GG's, Black Mamba, great win here to really send them into that second half of the tournament, the grand finals. And well, here's the points after that last match here. 21 total points for Black Mamba, Executies 15, and the Zombie Boys with 11.
Yeah, and the other team, you know, that I like seeing up here, of course, is just right below Zombie Boys. Jovi, 8 total points for them. I think it's a, you know, a nice breath of fresh air. Unfortunately, I think with those 8 points, they might have passed up the fan club, which is hard for me to say. So I think they're not, you know, in dead last anymore. But, you know, Blue Tiam as well. We've talked about them, you know, being a little bit consistent, a little bit of less in terms of points this match, but something's better than nothing. We're always seeing them up, you know, putting a few eliminations or, you know, getting the placement when it matters, maybe if they're getting wiped out earlier on. But the second half of the board, seeing Nomads, they did have a few of those elimination fights earlier on with 5 total, but not being able to pick up the placement points. And unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of zeros, Dave, at the very bottom of the scoreboard for this match.
Yeah, and Nomads just unlucky that they had to push into Juancho's shotgun there, and they had that oversight, but they did push at the right moment, in my opinion. You know, they got the knock and the flush on the carry. That was their moment, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, Miramar done. After the break, we are at the official halfway mark going into the second half of the grand finals. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's time to upgrade your PUBG mobile outfits. Join free daily cups for solo, duo, or squads. Win Faceit points. Exchange for PUBG Mobile UC. To customize your accounts, join Faceit today and earn rewards. Try for free at faceit.com/PUBG Mobile.
ball where you hand out deals. Let's go. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No, don't box me in. I do my own thing. Spirit is right within. I got my own way. Violent is not within. Look at the way that I do my ops again. Oh, better let me loose. You know that I got the juice. Everything I got to do. Words that I speak out my mouth, I gotta move. Oh, oh, we can't fit in your box. We too cold to get We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No. Thank you, Ben, for coming out tonight. My name is Son of Augustine. Let's go.
What is up, everybody? We are back after a insane game number 2. Today's just been such a toss-up. Mustache Dave, Enigma over there on the mics here tonight. 2 more games to go at the halfway mark here. Enigma, let me ask you, man. I gotta pick your brain. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be picking your brain all weekend. Pretend you're the coach. You're the coach for some of these bottom teams. What are you telling the players in the locker room right now?
Listen, okay, how are these team fights going? Is someone maybe giving a little bit too many comms, like kind of second guessing? Because we saw some of these teams making plays where, especially Jerway's fan club, they're in a prime position maybe to wipe a squad, and it seems like 2 of the team, they kind of split into duos, doing their own thing and stuff like that. So at least if I'm looking at Jerway's fan club, I'm going to say, let's just try to focus on one thing at a time. Let's retrace our steps, and let's take a note out of Jovi, a team that was able to go back to the basics and at least put some signs of life out there as a squad. And I mean, signs of life is what you need right now because we're already at the halfway point. And hopefully for some of these squads, they're able to do that. I'm not too sure, though, if Jerway's fan clubs can be able to do it because throughout the whole entire grand finals, it's been a little bit rough of a performance from them.
Yeah, it's definitely been rocky for a couple of these teams, and I'm just happy that Jovi finally able to get some points on the board. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Sandhawk PMCO North America Grand Finals. We are officially kickstarting the halfway mark of the Grand Finals. As a reminder, $6,000 for that first place, $4,000 for that second place, and $2,500 for that third place. So it's all about the shmoney. These teams on the hunt for just that here, Enigma.
Yeah, and I mean, the money itself is a bit of a runaway position. The live rankings are showing roughly a 40-point lead between first and second. But with that being said, Dave, I mean, we showed, the prize pool distribution for these squads. Second, third, fourth place was still, a good chunk of change for some of these teams. Maybe they've never played competitive space before, especially Blue Tiam, a new name that has the chance of, walking away with a few $100s in their pocket. So I'm interested to see how their tournament run keeps going. Another team, though, that I'm wanting to see more out of is YKG. You see them down, towards that 10th position. They did have a solid, good day one, but day two, I mean, even if you are, playing loose and having fun, maybe you're not caring too much. I think the money is still going to entice you a little bit, or maybe even just seeing XQTs dominate, say, hey, don't forget about us. It's not just you that's in the lobby.
Yeah, I remember yesterday, I forgot who it was, but OG, I know we had a hot drop there, and I believe OG coming in on top. I'm trying to think, who was that dropped them? And we were chatting that, like, hey, after losing that one, you're definitely not going to be dropping here again. So it looks like they did take the advice. But Blue Tiam, fears of God.
Ooh.
In a fight, early game. Illusion, first one knocked down with the Tommy gun in their hand from Junior's UMP here.
Yeah, early fight, he went for an off-angle play, but it doesn't really do much in snaking if he sees, where you prone and that sort of stuff. So fortunate for them. And this is a team that's, they've had a few decent maybe elimination spots that we've been able to catch a glimpse of, but not really a solid game performance out of them. And, starting off with only 3 players is not, the ideal way of doing things in PUBG Mobile.
Yeah, this is going to be in high 10 as well, which is going to be in the circle number 1. Pretty good spot, in my opinion, depending on who wins this one, because if it continues to shift over here to that west side, yeah, a nice little bridge camp action possibly from those teams on the east, looking at the main focal point, that choke point over there, just east of high 10. So big fight, in my opinion, for both these teams to really try to clutch it out. But like you said, Blue Tiam now with the numbers advantage after losing Illusion there moments ago.
We do see some sort of roof blaze going on, on that north corner. I do like the idea. I think GZ's trying to bait a little bit, maybe with, a little bit of shots into the wall, try to entice BT, because they have no idea, I think, that Junior's up on this roof. He could be oh my goodness. If he figures out he's in that window, I mean, he's got a frag. It's a little bit of a interesting situation, because if Junior shoots, Exotic in the back too, GZ has the opportunity of opening this thing wide open. Do you see Xenos though, Dave? Bottom side solo pushing with the DBS super far in front of his squad.
Feeling good. We're feeling good out here. Oh, and look at that. Oh, feeling good with that DBS. Able to get a knock right there. Ooh, but getting traded on over there. So there's like Fears of God. Only a solo now, though. Unfortunate for them. Now the 2 players working in tandem for Blue Tiam. Able to clean it up. Fears of God, 16.
Black Mama now, though, in a little bit of a precarious spot, not really grouped together at all. Old Gangsters pushing early across from boot camp. And a little bit of a free spray, missing the shots. Catchy, a rare sight to see out of the squad. But now, and look at this, 4-1-2 Baton pushing into the compound.
Yeah, and the thing is, my dude's over here with, I believe it's Baton and Gunpain. So they're missing 2 of their players across the channel. So they're not going to be grouped up for the time being, but it doesn't even matter. We're out here popping off, man. We're looking for that center position. That's what they're saying. So they're going to be taking that one down. Poppy Triste. Feeling the pain of some bullets over there. OG. Old Gangsters. We saw some life from them yesterday. Can't really say too much about them today. And I was actually chatting with Cardi today. And they were saying the goal is just tighten up and not lose players early on. Yeah. I believe that's kind of been the thorn in their side here so far tonight.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Sandhawk, it allows the fighting to go on, pretty early on in the matches. We could see their stats though. Overall, they do have an average of 5 elimination points. Pretty good survival time. I think 21 minutes on Sandhawk is, a good number to aim for. But looking at yesterday and how last chance qualifiers went with when the zone shifted to this Western Mountain, a lot of teams on the edge were really fumbling to get in and ultimately getting knocked to Papa Blue. So here we're seeing a lot of teams try to make a change and go to the center spots, get into the zone early, and unfortunately now it just creates this congestion. Baton getting possibly a finish if OG's not able to reach his teammates in time. But these teams are really starting to feel the congestion around this, this river part of the map.
Yeah, without a doubt. And oh man, just feeling too confident right there, cresting that hill immediately, getting lasered. Fortunate Lim is going to be right here to get the pickup, but we do see some grenades cooking over there across the way. Kidu getting some damage on the board, but the pickup was successful. Both gangsters here in the vehicle pull off right there. Nomads are going to be able to get back to their safety and comfort, but Crow with the anchor able to lay down some solid shots right there. I see the feed starting to pop up. Saturn there, up in those cliffs on the West Island, those cliffs that we were chatting about yesterday.
Yeah.
I see them getting involved, but that's going to be YKG and C4. Pretty big fight here. Sick is going to be in the front lines with the shotgun. Oh, but catching a grenade right there from 24K. And 24K, M249, 140 bullets. My dude is ready to go, ready to defend this position. And now here comes the collapse. Chico with the pre-fire through the smokes. 24K! Pow, pow! What they're saying, but now it's up to QZZ. Doesn't even matter, man. Taken out right there. C4 eliminated.
Yeah, and I mean, they had, that initial building. They had a little bit of a foothold into the compound, but when you're against 140 bullets, it's not really going to be looking pretty when you peek the angles. And I don't want to say it, Dave, but I'm going to. The north side in the water, the zombie boys are making the boatation around the map. So love seeing that. But going back to that C4 fight, I would have really liked to see maybe a bit more of nade usage out of C4. Just try to kind of play a bit of a guessing game and clear angles out. Because even if you don't get the knock with the nade, let's say he's hugging a doorway or something, the sound cue of him moving gives you an idea of where the player's at. And unfortunately, it just came down to them getting caught out, maybe just going for the gunfight trades instead of clearing angles. So hopefully from them, they are a team that's up on that top 8 section of the leaderboard, but hopefully we can see some more out of them. But YKG, though, I wanted to see more out of them. They've already got 4 on the board for Sandhawk.
Yeah. I mean, YKG last game kind of losing members here and there, not really able to get a good fight underneath their belt here in Miramar. So really good one for them right there. I love seeing the teamwork too. You can just tell it's just working. It's just flowing. So although this might be their last tournament as a full team, they're trying to go out, with a bang. Making a mark here with this current roster, and that's what you love to see. But getting back to the boat take, looks like 2 of the zombie boys. The duck boat right out there.
Yeah.
If you see the duck boat here, Enigma, just let it be, man. Well, what? Come on. What is it doing to you that you're so mad about that you need to blow it up? Why?
Oh, and look at this. They're throwing nades. It's all kick it while it's down.
Right.
A little rude.
I know you want points, but come on. Where do we draw the line here?
Yeah. No. That's unacceptable. No. And look at this. I mean, it's just like vultures. Vultures.
Not acceptable.
On the docks.
I hope the zombie boys pop up and just beam them. I honestly do. After
but
taking
can
out the boat.
zombies swim? I think we've had this discussion before. Can zombies really swim like that, Dave?
No, they walk on the ocean floor.
Oh. Is that how it is?
Yeah.
Well.
There's still 2 other zombie boys somewhere. Well, 1. I'm looking for them. Not sure where they are. I guess they're just like, hey, fellas, you do you.
I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm not stuck in the water.
I'm out. Oh, wait a second.
Respect. Deny the point.
Deny the point. Yep, exactly. Deny the point.
I would do that 100%. Like, hey, blue team, you want to get this elam? Guess what? No.
Nope, it's over. But Dave, one thing
man.
I would have liked to see out of
they
Blue
still got it,
Team is,
though.
you know, you've got the duck boat destroyed. You know, you've already you know, taken off the armor and ruined their careers with it. But you know, I would have liked to see them go in the water, because not many players make the idea of, you know, if I swim out to a zombie boys, the zombie walking on the bottom of the, you know, the ocean, I could just be my teammates could just start shooting my name tag and stuff like that and get the elimination. So thankfully they did get one of those points. I'm not sure if they got the other zombie boys player, but the water strats players, you know, if you have someone, you know, stuck in the water and you have multiple teammates by you, just jump in there and swim on the guy. Just start ping spamming, do everything, the whole 9 yards for your teammates. Just start shooting your body, go through you, and, you know, get the damage in on them. But, you know, the zone shift does happen, and it's another mountain finish Saturday.
Love it.
Love it. By
the way, I hope Orsic, the last zombie boy, just 1v3s blue team. Just saying. Still alive. Will it happen? Probably not, but I am putting it out there. So if it does happen, it's like, man, Dave, he knows what he's talking about. This guy's always right.
Yeah.
Because I have been jinxing a couple teams here this evening. But the genius.
You're
so
the genius.
X-Cuties, seeing that circle, just straight up sending it to center right there. Heads up play from them.
Yeah, and that compound itself is a little bit sketchy because you have a team like Saturn, you know, looking down on it. Most teams don't opt to play it early on. You might get, you know, gate kept. You might get mountain camped, I guess you could say, in this situation. But recognizing that, hey, you know, it's late enough in the zone for us to be fine to take that spot. So nice play from them. They do only have 0 eliminations this match. A little bit of a slower start for each of these matches from them. Usually seeing, you know, maybe 5 or 6 eliminations out of them, but, you know, pretty decent spot. It is stage 3, though. I'm hoping it's a bit more of a steady pace going into this match. So later on, we're able to see a lot more of these teams shine when there's more, you know, teams alive and lobby.
Let me ask you this. Teams on the edge, not in this circle, not on this island. What's the play, man? What is the play?
Swim.
I know it's a loaded question.
Maybe under the boat, you know, like the bridge. Maybe take a boat in and slam up to OG or something that's on one of those shore compounds. But I mean, if it shifts west or north at all, you're basically just, you know, playing for 8th, 9th, going for a few elimination points. It's really not my favorite spot to be, and that's why I always liked dropping Pine Net as my drop spot.
Okay.
Wildcard, TT, we had a lot of interesting drop spots, but when it came to Sandhawk, we were all super focused on don't even shoot a guy if you see him while you're running in, because as soon as you shoot, there might be a team right in front of us that all 4 of them turn and it's all of us running in the open. So like to see that maybe come into play. Unfortunately, this river, you know, kind of separating the map on the east side, it's not helping at all for some of these players. And Joey now making the bike send. Oh, he's making it. Wow,
made it.
A bike of all things. Oh, never mind. I had faith. YKG
popping the tires. So
did
Joey make it? Did Joey make it?
No, I think 24K is in the back from another team making the drive play along the road. So
Joey said, "Hey, there's a guy here. Be careful, right?" Yep. And you know, we saw Joey get taken out further down the line, but honestly, not the play from YKG, because those sight lines, I know Baton was the only one on the bridge, but his teammates were down south overlooking the bridge as well. So that was a really nice little camp from them to kind of almost bait YKG into thinking there's only one player here, possibly. So really heads up play from them. Did you also see Jovi in the water swimming? They heard the shots on the bridge, and listen, Enigma, they're like, thank God we're swimming. Thank God we didn't cross the bridge. So another great play we're seeing here on this very difficult Sandhawk map.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear shots and you're in the water and no one's saying they're getting shot at, it's a saving grace, because you know it's not at you. Just keep doing your thing. Look, if they don't see you, if you don't see them, they can't see you. It's all about it. And Sandhawk, I mean, we're seeing it right now. Black Mamba, They just dealt with one squad, and now it's Jerway's fan club holding them gatekeep, having to also make the mad dash themselves in, but 2 free elimination points for
Okay.
them. Fortunately, Black Mamba only had the 4 elimination points to their name, 0 placement points, finishing in 10th. But now the swim player we're talking about, Baton, playing a little bit of a bridge troll.
Come on, Baton. Come on. Oh, nice shots from Baton. But there is a Jovi player right behind him in the water, popping up. The Navy SEAL action with the shotgun. But Baton with the quick flick in the M4 will be eliminating Jovi here. The fish out of water.
Did an outline on the guy with the shotgun. You know, at that point,
three points though. 3 points for Jovi, so they are getting some points here.
Team that's seen it though, Jerway's only 2 elimination points. Hopefully he gets the med off, but we're seeing it right now. Sentinels with a full spread on this hillside, just waiting for some sort of movement. Stage 4 as well. The zone's not going to do too much damage to him, Dave, but
risking.
In my eyes, playing, you know, being on this sort of edge position, I'd almost start running up the mountain. I would go backwards into the blue zone and sort of kind of get away from Sentinels, because it's another team on the edge. We could see it here. Zombie Boys and 1 Saturn players in between you and the mountain. But it seems like they have some sort of smokes. They're making the mad dash, and thankfully for them, the zone shifts to the south. So teams like Blue Tiam and 412 that are on the north side are going to have to make the rotation in.
Yeah, definitely a tough, just a tough situation all in all. The next zone did shift, kind of favoring them, but they're still not going to be in it, unfortunately. It looks like the fan club might just be touching the tip. Yep, with the boulders, but behind those trees are a couple teams on the high ground, but they also need to be cautious. We got the Sentinels still down here, just all of them just beaming across the way. Riz King just letting that intel flow, marking them. And looks like Slay will begin the pickup here. Very dangerous spot to be in all, as we got 6 teams now. As there goes the fan club. The solo zombie boy rising from the dead right there. Getting a couple points. 1 point to be exact. Overlooking now Sentinels. Woo! On the jelly with the M4 snipes. I'm going to call him the M4 sniper right here. Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, laser sight with it, the 4X, you don't see that too often. And I was really hoping that Aorsic doesn't take those shots, because it's the fan club, man. Like, they're needing the points right now. I'm wanting to see them start, you know. It's the fan club, and, you know, I was going to say it, but right as I was going to say something, he beams them, and it's just, oh, man, it's tragic, to say the least.
You know I'm Zombie Boys all day, so
yeah.
Nomads 11 elims here so far, 12, make that 12. Now going to be looking over the OGs, the old gangsters down below. See a couple smokes out blocking those windows. To me, that is the Nomads looking to make the crash possibly. Block those sight lines, and I see a couple Nomads in a vehicle. Ooh, but they're off angle. Their anchor Baton immediately beamed right there, and there goes Crow. Also taken down with gunpain, so now they're just down to a solo Nomad, which is going to be no match from the third-party Fate. What do you think about that play? I mean, we saw the smokes. We can tell they're about to make the crash, but was it a timing thing? Like, what did you see there?
No, I think it's just the smokes needed to be pushed out a little bit farther towards the compound, block the windows, because we saw Baton. His goal was to be the Overwatch for the squad. He's peeking the angles, but right as he looked away from one angle, a little bit of a timing issue, gets shot from the window, peeking the other guy and giving the opening knock. And at that point, you know, you have 2 players up front. You either go for the revive in the back, or, you know, you try to have the same Overwatch angle that you just got knocked from. And we saw them, you know, really just crumbled. It was really just a nice hold from Old Gangster. You'd expect them with smoke plays like that from 412, not really hitting the mark to allow them to hold a fight. But right now we're seeing Sentinels actually opt to leave the hillside, making a bit of a interesting dash to this hillside, and it's actually going to have a bit of cover in it, Dave. I was not expecting a spot like this to be playable in the zone.
Yeah, nobody really catching them on that push either. I believe XQTs were trying to take some shots up on top of the cliffs on the Saturn. and even try to take some shots at old gangsters. So just using the perfect timing right there to push into the zone and get this little hill with a couple boulders for cover. So big play for the Sentinels. Now we still do have the solo zombie boy who has the intel on the Sentinels, but as we see out there in the distance, also has a Saturn player right on top of them. So if they were to take these shots onto the Sentinels, you have to assume they would have immediately been fired upon themselves. So Sentinels catching some luck, but not too much luck, because the next zone doesn't go their way. Once again, Sentinels getting no love over here, but the solo zombie boy. What are we going to do?
Playing dead.
What are we going to do? We're playing dead. Yes.
We're playing dead.
Playing dead.
Oh,
No, nothing to see
the
here.
zone's coming. Oh, here we go. He dropped off the cliff, Dave. He might actually just be able to stay here.
One of these Saturn
I don't
players
think
going down to the zone.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go down to him.
Oh, no, he's got a grenade.
Someone knocked as well.
Orsic has grenades. But look at this. Another fight happening down here below. The Sentinels making the mad dash across the field. But Wancho, the madman, taking them down. Risking, we see in the feed. Wancho putting a stop to the Sentinels push.
Yeah, and I think there was a PMPL NA match with N Hyper playing exactly in Saturn's spot a while ago. And the scary thing is getting down the mountain in a situation like this, because XQties has the positioning of just being able to, kind of just vibe at the compound. They have someone already on the cliff. Wait a second!
What are we doing?
Oh, and they're dropping. Wait, the zombie boys! No! Oh my goodness. Orsic, third place, but now 4v2 situation, Dave. And the issue is you gotta make it down the mountain.
Yeah,
I don't
you
think there's
do,
any
but not
boats.
yet. They're still in the play zone, right? So it could still look for maybe a shot here, but I don't think they have any util actually. So yeah,
Stage 9.
Stage 9, 2v4. Saturn. They have a dream. Maybe toss these smokes. Really, just block all the sightline. Well, I don't mean right there.
No,
but
yeah. Well, one of them has made it down slightly.
Okay.
Gonna maybe get the 2 free
Confirm.
knocks being on the
Clean.
cliff like this.
Take out Wancho, get another point. Confirm it.
There's 2.
Confirm it. Got a grenade.
A flag!
But no. But
Yeah,
the long
it's just
arm
Ur now
throw
on
up
top.
above.
It's just
So
Ur
now it's just
against the 2.
solo.
Looking a little
Who
rough,
wins this
to
Enigma?
say the least.
Tell me who wins this? Who wins this?
They've got a few frags, and Urn's got to make this little drop to lose HP. But the zone shift, I mean, if he can get to Darwin and maybe get the reset. Wait a second! Oh man, splatted on the ground, Dave. I mean, nice win though from XQties that took that compound, in zone 3 or 4 when no one else did, and thankfully for them it ended there. But Saturn though, top 2 finish. They were a little bit of zone blessed being the team next to them on the mountain, but still putting up elimination points when they were near the bottom. So like seeing that from them. But Dave, I mean, the mountain spots, there's all the cliffs. Do you think they could have maybe cleared out the Zombie Boys players sooner rather than later?
Listen, the Zombie Boys, like we saw, dude was playing dead. We just couldn't pinpoint exactly where they were. I think if Orsic, the zombie, the solo, would have taken shots at Sentinels on the dash in the open, then without a doubt they would have been able to spot them. But the discipline right there, able to survive a little longer, get some more placement points. But am I mistaken? Cuties, they won game 1, right? Am I remembering this wrong? They won 2 games here today. They're already in the lead by like 40 freaking points. They're looking to get the $6,000, dude. I'm not going to lie. Listen, it's going to take a team or maybe a couple teams to just really play spoiler to the Cuties and just make their lives rough if anybody wants a fighting chance at that first place at this point.
Yeah, and I think too, maybe they're going for, world record chance for points. I'm not sure what the highest record is in terms of first place finishes in any of our PMCOs, but
deny the point. Respect.
Yeah.
So look at this. 21 points, 11 elims. But the Nomads, once again, Enigma, another game where the Nomads are getting consistent elimination points.
Yeah, and a lot of that's just, I think their team synergy is just a bar above most of the lobby. Obviously, Excuties is showing that, you know, they're able to put the experience on top of the team synergy together. But Nomads, though, the placement points aren't coming together, but it's showing through, you know, tried and trueness that the elimination points are what matters. You're only getting 10 for first place, so even though Saturn Esports is dropping, you know, 4 more placement points, you're beating them out on the leaderboard. And even if you're not going for that first place spot anymore, with Excuties, you know, winning every other match they're loading into, second place is still good. You're still aiming to play and be better than the rest of the lobby. It's not just you against one team, it's you against all the other 15 teams in the lobby.
Yes, sir. Strangers BD, if I'm not mistaken, I saw there kind of slipping down the overalls because they started today in 6th place. So I know they had a really good game when it comes to eliminations, but this last game really not catching the mark. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sandhawk. We got one more game to go here before day number 2 is done and dusted in the books, as some would say. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break for the final match.
Bring the band in. Woo. Well, all right. Yeah, they want me to fit in, but I can't. I'm too different with it. Too advanced to think. You know my intuition. I got bars and ink, but never in a prison. Too far gone, never gonna sit and listen. This is optimism mixed with the best. You get it? What you're seeing is a beast in the flesh. I'm vetted up. I don't need to try to speak for the rest. Always keep it abrupt. They wanna keep it a mess, you know. This is what you get when you're sitting as a vet. But everybody know that you're a threat. With the rest, let's go. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No. Look, I try to tell you we don't fit in your box. Why you try to box me in? I got the key to unlock. I know the locksmith, optics, speak of the loss. I'm eating lobster, chopsticks, freaking the boss. You know, I'll never fit in where I go at. Boss talk like I'm Boaz. Why fit in when you know you can stand out still? They remember you more when you hand out deals. Let's go. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top.
What is going on, everybody? 3 games done. 1 more game to go. Mustache Dave, as you can tell, got the mustache. Next season, we'll have Mustache Enigma. But Enigma, let me ask you, man, how you doing after 3 games? How are we feeling about this last match?
I mean, I'm feeling good, but unfortunately, it's just seeming like, deja vu from yesterday. X Cuties winning 2 out of 3 they play. The third match, they go second in. I mean, it's exactly the same performance as yesterday. And hopefully today that, they may be able to finish strong. It wouldn't be such a great thing for the rest of the lobby because, I mean, we're past the halfway mark. This is the last game of the second day. After this match, you're only going to have 4 matches to play. You're only going to have 4 chances of making, up the leaderboard and stuff like that. So hopefully these squads can really start finding their groove because the teams at the top that have already found it are really starting to run away with the tournament winnings.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the Nomads kind of finding their groove here, without a doubt. I was kind of hoping Jovi, after that one Miramar game, we did see them survive and get a couple more points this last match. Other teams, like any other teams, in your opinion, that you find are starting to find their groove here as we get to the later half of the tournament?
Well, I mean, from the last match, obviously it is Sanok a bit of a wild card, but Saturn hopefully will start turning up. They did have a good second place performance with a few eliminations under their belt. Last few days has been more so. I'm seeing them pick up maybe 3 or 4 eliminations in the match, but during those fights, I don't know if it's them taking too much time to really clear out the squads, or maybe it's just third parties coming in too often, but they're not really getting into that late game portion. But seeing them in the late game just now with 4 up really, hopefully allowed them to open up their eyes to remember, hey, let's just try to play a little bit more passive, a little bit more basic, keep 4 players up, and allow people, to fall under our pressure we're able to give. Because a lot of these teams, they're feeling the pressure of Executies, they're feeling the pressure of 412 Nomads, but you need to be able to apply pressure back. And hopefully those teams that are on the edge are able to start doing it themselves. But we're here on the last match, Dave. It's the last Erangel. A little bit nice of a playing path, but, I didn't realize this actually, but I'm seeing those helicopters behind the plane. I didn't know there was an escort with the plane now on these matches.
Yeah, those are Carrie's personal escorts right there, making sure Carrie's got all the loot needed to really dominate here. Shout out to Baton last game. I think the dude had like 70 elims. That bridge camp was beautiful up against YKG. And it wasn't just Baton, Baton had his 3 teammates in the back lines in the hills kind of playing oversight, definitely helping with the spray. But just plays like that are just great to see here in the finals, because that's a play that doesn't happen on accident. Like that's something that they looked at the zones and they set up for that play in particular. And I love when teams set up these plays and we see it unfold in front of our eyes.
Yeah, and unfortunately for YKG, they're a team that kind of lands near that bridge, and for 412 to hold them back virtually the entire game means that they weren't hesitant on making that play. They instantly did it, I'd assume, from maybe the first or second zone, holding that spread out. So them getting elimination points. And one thing I can't stress enough about is you have a player like Baton, okay? Stellar player on the roster. They have A-Lim and stuff like that too who are able to frag out. But if you're in certain positions and you need someone that's able to hit shots when it matters most, Baton should be in that spot. Play around certain players. I've had the luxury of having those people on my team, whether it was Acer on Wildcard or even Tensa and HH back on the team totality days. Players that moved on from that roster to either Tempo Storm or Ghost Gaming, very namesake teams in the competition. A lot of that came down to us being able to recognize, who's the most comfortable playing these forward spots, who's the most comfortable playing Overwatch, and who's able to recognize when the plays matter most. And I just can't stress it enough that hopefully 412 Nomads is able to keep doing that and play to their strengths rather than, trying to have everyone do something that maybe they're not comfortable with.
About being comfortable. Uzi versus Scorpion over here. Little 2v1 situation. It's like we are able to survive just a little longer. Pika out there in the distance. Oh, we got the Deagle. We're pulling up here, man. We're looking like a tasty snack in the shack over here, watching the heads. No Molotovs, no grenades here. Wow. Wow.
The
Jovi.
Shaq plays, and it's Jovi of all
doing
teams in the situation.
well. 22 bullets in the M16.
Oh!
5.56 to the dome. And there goes Jovi. Out.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, Jovi just four-man wiped. Really just unfortunate to see, especially with the last match. I mean, we want to see, some leaderboard change, kind of like we did with last chance qualifiers, but unfortunately just not, really receiving that sort of, I guess, zone blessing maybe they wanted, or plane path. We're also seeing a fight again break out. Fears of God
Yeah.
against Old Gangsters in the center of Pachinki.
Daku with a grenade. That's going to be doing a lot of damage up there on the rooftop. The makeshift exotic Spider-Man over here. AKM in hand. So Old Gangsters historically have been winning their hot drops more or less compared to other squads, especially Fears of God. We've been seeing them getting taken out really early on here. Fears of God setting up a little 4v4 action for the time being. Here we got a honey badger on the field from Z66, but you were talking about Jovi, you were talking about Unique Legacy, like, yeah, the zone not really favoring them, but they're down there in Milta Farm. Like, there's so much space, so much terrain to really maneuver. I feel like that was definitely intentional from Jovi to make that push, take that fight here this early on. Has me scratching my head though, because a couple of those players didn't even really have any weapons, any armor.
Well,
like,
I
what are we doing?
think how it went was they saw the player maybe try to contest their car spawn, and when he had seen the Jovi players had taken the vehicles, that he was like, hey, I'm going to turn off to this shack. And luckily he got a gun. He was able to stop Jovi. But Jovi's thinking, hey, this guy, we're going to chance that he doesn't get a DBS, and we're going to take the fight. So they took the fight to him. Unfortunately, one of them gets knocked, and I think Chapito had to clean up the Unique Legacy player with a machete kill. So he had actually gotten the first knock with the melee, which, I mean, that's really working with scraps here. Now, luckily, this is what I kind of like to see more of, is these sort of 4v4 fights that are hot drops aren't immediate fights. You're not allowing it to be up. Obviously, we're seeing double barrels and maybe some bisons come into play. But for the most part, you're having armor. We're even seeing Meaner here, level 3 helmet. So, try to get some sort of loot and then make the aggression push. If you're really leaving it up to chance, that coin flip, you got to hope it's in your favor. And right now, I mean, Jovi has not had it in their favor whatsoever for most of these matches.
Nope. They did have one really good game here this evening, though, so they are going to be getting some points on the board. I loved Cardi's off angle, by the way. He really put a stop to the Spider-Mans on the roof there. But Rise, huge grenade right there. Here comes the push now from Fears of God on the offensive now. Nor with the UMP looking to push this. Cutie with the DBS just kind of waiting for their opponents to make the breach through the doorway. But Old Gangsters kind of separated for the time being. Meanwhile, Fears of God working as a unit, working in tandem, at least these two, with one on the rooftop. So I feel like Fears of God definitely working together as a team a little more here in this situation compared to Old Gangsters, who are kind of just playing as individual players right now, who just need to hit these shots, and they're doing just that. There's a DBS shot right there.
Yeah, gets one. I mean, he was chasing pretty hard for it. Now, thankfully, he does make it up to the second story, but Katri, he's in the prime position. He has to do something at some point, or at least maybe rotate across. But Daku getting, I think, 2 knocks on the Fears of God right now, leaving it up to just a solo on the roster. Does go for the reset, making it a 2v2 situation, but great spray with the scar from Daku, the player that was getting a lot of pressure early on, able to absorb that and apply it right back to Fears of God.
Yeah, definitely getting some good looks here. Z66 with the Bison lean peek, but we are going to miss those shots as now Cardi with the Uzi spray down, missing a couple shots. Z66 swapping back over to that UMP, looking to pull back toward their teammates here just a little bit. Cardi has the taste of blood here, especially with Cootie with the DBS. Hearing all the shots, hearing all the footsteps from Rise here. There's only going to be one winner of Pachinki, by the way. We can't let them out. And Rise with the lean peek and a nice little look couple shots on Akudi. Both players are going to be inflicting a lot of damage on each other, looking for the pullback, looking for the heal. But Z66 going to continue to apply the pressure.
Yeah, and this fight going so long is, I mean, we're looking at the heel of Z66. No meds to his name either. I'm not even sure if Dak or Kidu has any to his name. The zone coming in as well. Really going to start softening up players. We're seeing some roof plays try to get applied again, but it's not just FOG having it out. Old Gangsters has their own on the roof, but Z66
Thirsted.
catching one out with the thirst. Kidu now maybe it's just forcing 1v1s at this point because you don't have the meds to take the time to group with the teammates.
The DBS though, through the doorway, the funnel. Z66 walking into that trap, but Rise from the rooftop with the trade right there. Let's see, can we get the final blow, the nail in the coffin for the Pachinki hot drop here? Rise, UMP, the pre-fire needs to look at that reload. Actually, will be swapping to the M4, but we still got 6 slugs locked and loaded here. Don't make the same mistakes of walking into the barrel of the DBS. Looks like both players are going to be looking for some heals. QB pulling back here just a little bit, possibly looking for a pickup. Very interesting move there. Rise just needs to full send it here, in my opinion, Enigma. Let's see.
Goes for it.
The DBS just too strong. And there goes that fight, man. But truly, who's the winner? Because listen, this zone all the way to the east, man. It is as far away from Pachinki as possible right there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's 2 making it out. I guess you're fine with the 4 elimination points, but it's all about moving up the leaderboard for, you know, that more of a prize pool cut for your squad. And if you're only getting 4 or 5 points out of it, it's maybe not worth. A team, though, that's really needing the points going against a team that's almost secured first place off of just 2 days. XQT's taking the fight with Sentinels.
Big fight here. Fate in the compound, tossed in a nice little molly, put a stop to any potential push here through that doorway, especially with only a duo still alive. So it's going to be a 2v2 essentially. I do see a team out there in the distance with the third party, so Sentinels need to have their head on a swivel here. That'd be Chico. I see one of them. So YKG looking to possibly get some shots in themselves here. Nosh, 2 more grenades, 5 smokes. I don't think the Sentinels are aware of YKG's positioning quite yet. They would have
definitely not
tossed out some smokes in that direction here, but let's see. Oh, now they are.
They know now.
Yep, now they know.
I'm surprised though. He really didn't take any damage on that exchange, and you know he's actually now able to use the 5 smokes.
Jelly.
But Jelly hitting the nades. Going for
Oh
the push,
no!
but Fate's got a
with
nice
the
with
angle. The double, walking into the sight line. Fate to seal their fate here in game number 4. Sentinels out here, Enigma.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that YKG opted not to take an aggression sort of stance on this. They did know that I'd assume that, you know, XQT's was down 2 players early on from the kill feed and stuff like that, but opting not to that. We actually see Joey and Fears just to the east of the Yasnaya Lake. The zone shift happens though, and 412 Nomads is looking straight up at the PUBG Mobile gods saying thank you, because the zone shift is directly onto them. All these teams that took these early engagements on the edge of zone scrambling to try to get into the next zone shift.
Yeah, Nomads, they had a 2-2 split looking like they're going to group up right here. Looks like they are going to be missing that care package that just dropped right on top of them as they do look to reposition here. This has to be one of the spiciest endings we've had so far. I mean, we still got Kameshki in play. Like, when do you see that here, man? Kameshki is definitely a possibility for this end game here.
I'm hoping. You know, I've never seen a Zarki finish in my years of competitive play, and I've never seen a Kameshki finish. The closest, I think, to a Zarki finish, at least, was PMCO NA, I believe. One of the finals matches ended just south of it. And if you're some of these players that have played, you know, for years and years, whether it's Joey or some of these other namesakes like Chico, you kind of remember how certain teams play in certain zones and, you know, what spots kind of get taken early, which might be a double-edged sword with new teams coming in and maybe
Hmm.
taking those spots and playing spoiler for you. But the huge thing about this game is, just the knowledge base, whether it's the map or how zones
Knowledge.
kind of look from different avenues. And we can see it here. Blue Tiam opting to take this little bit of a ridge line. Most people probably don't even know this spot exists on the edge of the mountain towards Stalber unless you land around here. So 412 Nomads, they had the split. You talked about it. Now forced to play inside the compound, not being allowed to play their aggression.
Yeah, and we also see the YKG squad mates kind of looking in this direction as well, where the Nomads are. So definitely going to be a spicy one as straight out of Nepal, actually on the coast of Kameshki. So they're going to be big chilling. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a Kameshki finish. I remember a couple years ago, I was with Jukes, and it was a PMCO actually that we had a
Mm-hmm.
water finish. Like the end zone was in the actual water, and there was just players just
Wow.
punching each other, or at least attempting to. Never seen it in my life. So leave it to PMCO Enigma to have some crazy zones, man. It's always in PMCO.
Yeah, and I mean, some of us players would get a little irritated because we'd be playing some of these tournaments and we're like, this just is never happening in scrims. And then you get
Yeah.
that oddball, long shot sort of zone where it's like, who the heck even knows what the edge of Zarki looks like and stuff like that. So really a treat to see. And I believe the match you're talking about in PMCO is the Kendi match that ended in
Mm.
the water. My team had finished second by
Oh,
swimming underneath with a zone finish. So I definitely
you
do
remember
remember
it?
what you're talking about. Yep. It was
It was
definitely a
wild, dude.
treat because all the players had their in game, all chats on, just talking to each other, and it was just a real treat to see. I hope that someone, one of the old G players has a recording of it because that just, I mean, things like that when they happen just really, lighten the mood.
Talk about lightening the mood. There are some crazy shots going on because of these circles. Now it's going to be shifting up there to the north. I believe it's really Saturn who are just all over the place, just rolling up on people and taking the fight. I saw them take a couple shots onto YKG. They're over here with the fan club and Strangers BD. Saturns are just rolling through the lobby right here. They did lose two in the process, so they're down to just a duo. But honestly, these circle shifts, man, just and that's why we're chatting about them, because these circle shifts can cause so much chaos here for these players in the battlefield. And that's kind of where you were bringing it in from firsthand experience, you playing on the battlefield at this level. Like these zones, man, sometimes they're just unforgiving.
Yeah, and I think the hard shifts too, because these are, in my words, hard shifts of zones, not really kind of centering. It's kind of you're not really expecting it to be on the edge. Maybe you're playing center on the first two zones and you're completely pushed out by zone 4 or 5. And you kind of just sit there wondering, how does this really end up here as a zone shift? So if you are, a new coming team and stuff like that, if you're
Hmm.
able to recognize maybe off plane path where teams usually like playing on the center, if you see a hard shift, 9 times out of 10, a lot of the zone's going to be free. We saw it just now as well. The zone shift when 412 Nomads was dead center, it was virtually only Black Mambas near them on the east, or I believe the west side of them, and straight out of Nepal in the north. So a lot of these spots, if you're able to rotate early enough at high level, we see it time and time again. Rotate early, maybe for the zone shift. Chance that it shifts away from the majority of the squads and get yourself in a prime position for those elimination points.
No. Talking about positioning and placement points. Looks like 24K getting revenge on Darwin right there. One of the members from the Saturns who kind of just looking for those placement points at this point of the game. Zombie Boys up there in the north on the high ground, 4 up, with the X Cuties being out of this match with 5 points. That really opens it up for these other squads who are essentially playing catch up, for that second place, for that third place right now. So let's see what they can accomplish. Because look at this. We got Strangers BD still 4 up. We got Unique Legacy 4 up. We got Zombie Boys 4 up. And then not only that, all the teams beneath them, still a trio, right? So there's a lot of teams that are pretty healthy, in my opinion, for this late game.
Yeah, and I mean, 9 squads left. It's only stage 4, so the zone shifts really being evident of teams getting squad wiped off, maybe taking those early engagements. Saturn's obviously the name that comes to mind. They're still in it, but picking up a few elimination points, but taking losses without cause. And, if I'm looking at some of these teams, I'm liking the spot of Zombie Boys the best, I believe, because they're up on top of the mountain. They don't really have
Mm-hmm.
anyone putting
Oh, look
pressure
at that.
around them. And the zone shift, possibly allowing them, it looks like this roadway halfway up the mountain might be able to play a bit of a saving grace for them and just be allowing them to shoot down on the rest of the competition.
Yeah, so a huge game for the Zombie Boys. We'll have to keep tabs on how they take advantage of their position. But over here, we got Unique Legacy now pulling up on the Nomads. Nomads, they are going to be down Crow. They're going to be missing a member, but Baton, the player that's really been on the ball here tonight, is going to be in the front lines. Here in the vehicles down below, cooking a grenade, looking to pop out of the compound, getting a little aggressive, a little feisty here. Might be seeing red in their eyes. And yes, Baton definitely thirsty with 2 knocks right there, almost getting the third. Where are the teammates? That's what Baton's saying. Like, where are you guys? They're 1 HP. 1 shot. Here comes Gunpain with the follow-up grenade. But is it too late, Enigma?
Well, I mean, it might be a little bit too late now. You see the last Unique Legacy player playing Overwatch coming in now, trying to go for a reset. But right now, though, it's still a 2v2 fight. If 412 Nomads forces the initiative, they could play spoiler for Unique Legacy in this match. There we go, and there's the first elimination, Hawk.
Okay, Nomads, 2v1. It's up to them. 1v1. Oh, no, how the tables have turned. And Olim with the UMP. Clutching it out there just in time. But what did they lose in the process? Pretty much everything. Now just a solo here for the Nomads. A solo and a compound. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, we're looking at the rest of the squads. YKG opted to rotate on the north side, and Zombie Boys, the team getting the knocks openings onto YKG and stuff, trying to put this pressure down. Big nade from Julio over the top, not even seeing Joey really getting the initial knock down to, I believe, just Chico on YKG. This is a huge game-winning fight, potentially, if Zombie Boys can clean it up.
Here comes Crazy from behind, looking to surprise Chico. Hello, Chico. We've seen you in the past being able to clutch it out, but Crazy with the flank from behind, just too strong, and Crazy's not done yet. It's going to be laser beaming one of the squad mates from Blue Tiama down below. They're going to be bleeding on out, but this to me is just the zombies using their high ground to their advantage here, Enigma.
Yeah, no one decided to contest them early on when they had the 4 players. YKG attempted it, but, just proving fault with, not having those 4 players alive. And, hopefully we could see it in a little bit as well. The amount of players alive in the lobby is 13 total, 4 of them being on Zombie Boys alone. So they're really the only team that has any sort of, I guess, pressure in the scene right now. So maybe the next zone shift will maybe be a bit of a blessing for Blue Tiam, who's kind of scouted by everyone in this center compound.
Massive game here, possibly for the Zombie Boys or Blue Tiam on the hunt. Really trying to end day number 2 on a high note, in a good position with that confidence that we chat about so much, with that momentum that we talk about so much for the final 4 maps of the North America Grand Finals. So the Nomads still got the solo up here. Don't discount them quite yet. Strangers BD, the duo. G9 is going to be popping in a vehicle here. Looking to reposition. So talk me through, Enigma. What do you see here? Best positions. This is a very challenging one in my opinion with the different levels of terrain. But if you were in this game, what's the play here?
Well, if you're Zombie Boys, I think you just kind of keep waiting out for the zone shifts to happen. From the kill feed at least that a lot of these teams are going to be struggling with be a 4-man. I'd almost assume that no squad here is really going to be a 4-man with how quiet the map is. We're not really hearing too many shots go down range. But if you're one of these solos or duos, I'd be looking towards the edge, towards my back, towards Papa Blue, not really looking towards, the wider part of the zone, because if a team runs up on you, that might be, a free elimination and placement point. We're talking about top 6 here. The placement points start going up a good bit after a few of these teams go out. So if you're able to be, Jazzy Boy or Alim in these situations, if you're able to, wipe out one of these other solo duo squads, it could be huge point gains for you in the roster.
Yeah, it looks like Strangers BD actually prioritizing the zone, almost not even trying to scout where Lim is. So like you said, these solos could play spoiler potentially for a couple of these duos still just trying to survive. And well, straight out of Nepal, up in the north, they're going to be sneaking their way in. Russell, though, he's got a plan. He's cooking.
He's got the nade.
He's got the nade. He's got 3 grenades. They got 6 elims so far. So Vortex and Russell, the dynamic duo here. Vortex is all the way on the edge, though. That has me a little concerned if Russell does get into an engagement and Vortex provide the support from their angle. I don't know, man.
I'd be a little bit scared, though. Russell, we had looked at it, level 3 helmet, no vest. So at that point, I mean, if you take any sort of engagement with these blue Tian players and you don't get the first initial knock, I mean, you're going down basically in 2 or 3 hits. The no vest is extremely disheartening to see because it's essentially just you're shooting skin at that point. You're not really feeling it. And Blue Tiam, I mean, they had obviously damaged helmets, but having a vest and helmet is just not, it's not great to not have.
Definitely not. And when we look at this game having the most impact for which team on the overall leaderboard, I have to say Strata Nepal definitely one of these teams that needs this one bad, right? And we still got 6 teams left. So if you get taken out right here, right now, it's only 2 points for placement. So fortunate for them, they got those 6 elims going their way. So they're going to be feeling a little good. But Zombie Boys, all right, we've seen this before. We've seen Zombie Boys get the zones, have the priority, but they just couldn't hold it together to get the win. So Zombie Boys, let's see what you got in the tank for the final game of day number 2. They got the whole team up, but before we get to that, Bolt X, Strangers BD, trying to take out the solo from the Nomads here. And in the kill feed, we can see Russell, actually pulling the pin on the grenade, getting a knock over there on the north end of the circle as well.
Yeah, and these people are starting to activate early on. Russell getting the thirst as well, knocking Xenos, trying to go for a reset. Big nade, though, from Twix. 2v1 situation. We're seeing some nades pull out, but he's not allowing it to get cooked. Nice push from straight out of Nepal. 3v2 situation, keeping their tournament hopes alive on moving up the leaderboard. Unfortunately, Vortex getting caught out, but I think you got to go for the loot. Can't be playing safe, doing whatever. Russell, though, making the mad dash.
Wow.
Saved by the hill.
Wow.
Way too
saved
close,
by the hill.
in my opinion.
Hopefully able to get some meds, looking to toss out some smokes. It looks like Russell's trying to pick up Vortex here. I don't know, man. That's really risky in my opinion, especially with the angle that G9 has right now with the 6 times on the M4. Russell's still going to try to go for it here, though. Could be an opportunity for the Zombie Boys to third party, too. I mean, they hear the shots. They can locate a couple of their opponents. Looks like the Zombie Boys got a little 2-2 split going on right now. Yeah, there goes Russell's teammate to the zone. So, Russell, let's see what we can accomplish down here with a little bat wings. Definitely one of the best games so far for Straight Out of Nepal. So, shout out to them for showing up here in the late game. Jesse Boy from the Black Mamba still surviving somehow, by the way. But really, Enigma, it's all up to the Zombie Boys to get this winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, I mean, you just play it nice and slow. Make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's with clearing angles. We're seeing, another finish as well on the G9. It's essentially just down to the 3 solos in the lobby. We're going to see him fight it out. Volt! The drive.
What was that?
I'm not.
What was that?
I'm not too sure. I was expecting a seat swap maybe, but didn't even have a chance of shooting the gun. And Crazy, he's been hitting some crazy sprays we've seen, in these later half of the matches. Or Orsic being the one to pick up the elimination point, and now it's just a matter of Jazzy Boy. He's been here all game, Dave, on the same buggy.
Not obvious at all. Not obvious at all. Zombie Boys. Zombie Boys. Zombie Boys looking to get a winner. first ever chicken dinner here in the North America PMCO Grand Finals. You'll love to see it showing up in the late game with 4 up on the high ground, paying off in their favor with a couple elims, by the way, here, Enigma. So shout out to the Zombie Boys NA. But that's game number 4, man, in the books, wrapped up. That's day number 2, done. We only got one more day, 4 more games to go here. Enigma, break down that last game for us, man.
Well, a lot of it was just, the hardships, pulling up just northeast towards Stalber. Kameshki even. We saw it too, Zombie Boys kind of just chose to play the edge of Stalber. No one wanted to take it, so they said, hey, we'll play it. The zone started pulling to them a little bit later on and allowed them to pull these 7 elimination points total to first place as well, with all the teams taking those early game fights, losing people early on. But straight out of Nepal, though, 15 total points, 10 of them being elimination. You talked about it, they're needing the points. That was a solid game out of them. Strangers BD, another one that kind of comes to mind of needing a solid game, having 13 total. And we obviously see 412 Nomads. They had the center zone shifts by zone 3 or 4, but unfortunately couldn't really piece themselves together a top 3 finish.
Look at that, though. The solo from Black Mamba, no elimination points, but the second place able to kind of keep the dream alive almost there in that final map of the evening, right? So 6 points going their way. YKG 4, Old Gangsters 4, Saturn Esports 3. So I'm really curious, though. We had a lot of ups and downs. I feel like the Cuties still another consistent day. Of course, they got 2 chickens, but we also threw in a couple of teams who, they performed quite well, all things considered. So I'm really curious to see how that shakes up the overall rankings from day 1 to day number 2. And here it is, Enigma.
Yeah, XQs is no surprise, but one name I know you're excited to see up there is Zombie Boys, moving up to 3rd place, 36 elimination points. We talked about them not being that, aggressive of a team, playing a lot more for the placements. They do have a nice number of placement points sitting at 23, but 36 eliminations, they're 3rd, 4th most in the lobby right now.
Yeah, and just a reminder, the day started with C4 in 3rd place. C4,
wow,
slipping and sliding, my dude. Same thing with Old Gangsters in 7th, but really the biggest team to slide down, C4. C4 had 30 points heading into today, and now we don't even see them on this first page. So a huge come up for the Zombie Boys starting the day in 8th. A huge come up for Blue Tiama. They weren't even on this page. So going over to the next page, C4 sliding down to 9th. The Old Gangsters sliding down to 10th. And another team, YKG, I know we talked about them a lot. Not stressing this tournament, just kind of playing for fun, playing for that money. But let me remind you, they started today in 5th.
Yeah, and I think, we're looking at the 9th and 11th place teams in mind. Teams that have been in this sort of tournament and situations before. Teams that we have expectations about. And we can look at the elimination points. They're sitting at over 30 for each of those squads. But the placement points, 7 for YKG and 9 for C4. A lot of it's just you're winning the first engagement, but maybe the second or third one is kind of just slipping out of your grasp, or maybe it's just the third party potential from Executies, because these squads, we know they have what it takes to win the rounds. YKG, even the last day of PMCO last chance qualifiers, winning both Aaron Gales, securing them that first place in the placements. But C4, the first day we saw a lot of nice fights out of them. Placements were a little bit lacking, but it's just the first day. Now we're done with day 2. Single digits for the placement points are really starting to bite people back in the butt. And hopefully, going into day 3, we could see the consistency of their team fights carry over to them making it into the late games of these rounds.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's day number 2 done and dusted. Let's bring up those socials just in case you forgot where you can find us, where you can find all the latest news on competitive PUBG Mobile. And make sure if you saw anything crazy, hashtag it, hashtag PMCO. So Enigma, I just got to say, man, I know we got one more day, but it's been such a good time, at least for me, to be able to really drill down and pick your brain, because you've been in tournaments like this and you've had some of the most experience about anybody that I've talked to lately firsthand in these lobbies. And you played against some of these players, so it's been amazing to kind of just chat about what's going on in the players' minds. But let me give you final thoughts of day number 2 here. Floor is yours.
I mean, it's kind of what I expected. XQT's, having a dominant performance as well. But I was also happy with seeing a lot of change in the leaderboard. I like to stress it enough about, those 6th, 8th place, 10th place teams starting to move up and down the leaderboard. And we did get to see that. But, obviously, I don't mind talking about the game of PUBG Mobile with you and stuff like that. Obviously, if any new coming players need a chat, need advice, or just any sort of questions about this sort of stuff, my DMs are always open. You saw it earlier in the stream. You can find the DMs anywhere. I'm more than happy to talk about the game of PUBG Mobile with anyone. So doing it on stream with you, Dave, it's been a real pleasure.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that is day number 2 done. One more day to go, 4 more games, and then we're done with the PMCO North America Grand Finals, $20,000 total prize pool. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Will the XQTs continue their dominance in the lobby, or will we have an upset team take that spot from them? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to find out tomorrow. So same time, same place. Keep playing PUBG Mobile.